Thatcher, the tall figure of Billy Stanlake, and Zahir Khan. Will we see X Factors? We will see bash boosts. There are going to be surges. It's all happening, and I'm delighted to say I'm joined this Boxing Day morning in England by Michael Carberry.
Good morning, Daniel. How are you, mate?
Do you know,
Season's greetings.
Thank you. I'm exceptionally well. I've brought in
some treats, haven't you?
I brought in a leftover sarnie, right? Which I have to say could be the most over-engineered sandwich in the history of leftover sandwiches. It's made. I'm going to run you through it because I'm so excited. I can't wait to get.
It looks quite large in that sandwich.
But it's quite chunky
bag that you've got there.
Yeah, I'll talk you through it. So it's 2 pieces of artisanal sourdough that have been smeared with rockfish garlic butter. Absolutely delicious. But I've then created a mayonnaise unnecessarily out of garlic.
That's Christmas.
Well, yeah, you know, you're going to play around, aren't you? Garlic, mayonnaise, lemon juice, mustard, and Worcester sauce, secret ingredient. And then inside, you're saying, what is the filling? Well, it's leftover guinea fowl and fennel sausage and duck liver stuffing. Not a vegetable in sight.
I like where your head's at.
Yeah.
I like where your head's at.
I am going to stink before this is over today.
It's fine. Get that protein in, mate.
We've got screens up, we've got the lot, but I still think a little bit of that garlic tinge is going to just
creep
waft.
over.
It could creep over, a bit like, you know, that old advert for those gravy granules, the which we can't say the name of. Right, the players are getting ready to get out there. Van Halen's Jump is blurting out. I mean, Australians always up with the latest trends, as you can imagine. Now the umpires are making their way out. Michael Carberry. These are 2 you'd say, wouldn't you? I mean, there are a couple of very few good teams in this year's Big Bash, but these 2, they feel like sort of pre-season favourites, and their form is bearing that out.
Yeah, they've had great start to the tournament. The Stars still yet to be beaten, only by the weather, you would say. Really, they've looked the 2 most impressive teams. I think looking down the order, I think you alluded to at the top of the show, was they look 2 very balanced squads. I think that's the important thing with picking your players, getting the right overseas players to come in, especially it's been tough times with people quarantining and not being able to bubble and things like that. So the fact that they've been able to recruit, you know, so say from the Sixers, likes of James Vince, Carlos Brathwaite's, even Jason Holder, you know, very, very, you know, one of the best all-rounders going around world cricket. And they'll fancy their chances, I think, against this Stars team. I think they're probably due a failure at some point. So I think this is going to be an awesome matchup.
Talk to me about the prevailing trend in this year's Big Bash, which is you win the flip, you bowl. It seems every time now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think nowadays people just back their batting. You know, I mean, now teams bat all the way down pretty much to number 11. So I think knowing sometimes what you need to chase, you just have that singular mindset that we can just go out and play with freedom. So I think a lot of teams, especially when they're the 2 front runners, it's almost not giving ground almost. So let the opposition have the ball first. You set us something, we go out and chase it.
I mean, it seems like a sound plan, unless you are the unfortunate Melbourne Renegades. Yes, I mean, that is quite the story for them to have lost another match so heavily by 129 runs. I mean, we say net run rate's important. I'm not sure it's going to be for the Melbourne Renegades if their form continues like this, because they're not going to win another game. I mean, that's scandalous. Bowled out for 80 this time, 60 against the Strikers, wasn't it, the other day? So, I mean, you know, it's grim stuff for them.
Yeah, and also what's interesting in that is that, you know, recently the Melbourne Renegades won the tournament not too long ago. So the fact that they've fallen so far behind, we were talking about this on air the other day about the Scorchers, similar sort of scenario. Teams that have had good pedigree in this tournament to date have seemed to have just fallen away a little bit, maybe just lost their objectives and confidence. You know, confidence is a massive thing. Some guys wouldn't have played a lot of cricket obviously in the circumstances over the year, so to come out, you know, 2020 is a game you have to click into gear very, very quickly, and it's, I suppose, who adapts quickest.
The players are taking the knee. It's a regular feature we're seeing in the Big Bash. Andre Fletcher is shortly going to face, and he's going to be facing Jason Holder. It's we're just holding a little bit longer as the players continue to take the knee, and Jason Holder then gets up and prepares himself to bowl against the Spice Man. You tell me, Michael Carberry. Why would he be called the Spice Man?
I'll have to speak to my people and get back to you on that one, mate.
Okay.
I have no idea. I'm assuming it's something to do with cooking.
Ah, yes. Well, here is Holder for the first ball of the match for the Sixers, and Andre Fletcher lets that go by with a little hint of Marnus Labuschagne. Not the full Labuschagne, but he went for the bit of a knee bend.
Yeah, there was no shout of "no run" at the end of it. Yeah.
Now, of course, those of you who are just getting up on this Boxing Day morning, and I can't say as I blame you if you are only just getting up, may also...
Some just go to bed, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. Maybe, well, those who are just going to bed probably know about the Test match. Those just getting up may not know the overnight news that Australia were bundled out for 195 at the G in the Boxing Day Test match. Nice debuts for Siraj. Took 3 wickets. Jasprit Bumrah took 4, and India closed on the latest iconic number of 36 for 1. Holder is in to Fletcher, who again lets this go by outside the off stump on about 5th stump line. Flamboyant leave. Yes, they managed to make it to 36 for 1. Huge cheer, no doubt, tomorrow when they get that next run. And Shubman Gill made his debut. 30 not out, I think, overnight. He's in partnership with Shea Pujara. So India, who lost that first match in such dramatic fashion down at the Adelaide Oval, fighting back well, in with a decent chance of levelling the series there, though there's plenty more cricket to be done at the G. So we're back here with a Big Bash, and Jason Holder running in to Andre Fletcher, who plays at this very hesitantly, a ball that spat slightly and came back, it wasn't more than slightly, came back into Fletcher, who I'm not really sure where he was thinking of playing that ball, but it sort of bobbled off his glove and landed pretty much just in front of him. Played it rather well in the end, as it's a spat. No,
he's a tall man, Jason Holder. He likes to stand the seam up. He's a very tall boy, about 6'8". Gets a lot of bounce, as proven there, with a little bit of out shape, and just caught Fletcher off guard. But he managed to, in fairness to him, played it down quite beautifully.
He did. Holder into Fletcher again. Fletcher swings at this, and it's in high over deep mid wicket. It's going to bounce once, twice, and then a despairing effort with the left hand by Ben Menenti. Slightly Super Mario Brothers figure of Ben Menenti. Doesn't quite manage to keep that ball in, and it thuds into the sponge for the first boundary of the day.
Yeah, great pick-up shot there from Andre Fletcher. Looks like his go-to area. Likes to clear the front leg, and I think Jason Holder will just be mindful of that. Obviously, he would have played some cricket with Andre Fletcher for the West Indies. Just keeping off that sort of leg stump line.
Here is Holder. Fletcher drives in the air. It's got a long way up. Fielder circles underneath it and takes the catch. So Fletcher's brief cameo comes to an end as Dan Christian very comfortably pouches that just inside the fielding circle at mid-on. Basically, in the end, he just got underneath that, did Fletcher. And the Stars lose their first wicket. They're 4 for 1.
Yeah, get some very odd cricket going on. You just picked up the boundary. You know, it's the first over of a game. You want to surely give yourself a chance just to have a look. 5 balls into the over. Jason Holder, just hitting a nice line and length. But yeah, I think it's a bit of a giveaway that dismissal from Andre Fletcher on reflection. You've got plenty of time in these power plays to just give yourself a little bit of time just to adjust. It's a bit of an odd dismissal that to just hold out to mid-on.
It was, wasn't it? And a shame actually, because I was looking forward to seeing how the Spice Man got his nickname, because I suspected it might also be he plays a few spicy shots, smashes the ball to all parts. Seen a little bit of him, and he's always been entertaining, but you live by the sword, you die by the sword in T20, and he didn't get any timing on that at all. Hit it straight up in the air, and Dan Christian's got very safe hands to pouch the catch. Hilton Cartwright is the new man, although I suspect he won't be on strike because the batters will have crossed, the ball being in the air for such a long time, which means that Ben Dunk brilliantly named Ben Dunk. I mean, that's like an American private investigator's sidekick, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know, get on the phone to Dunk.
Yeah, get him in.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, isn't it? So, the left-handed Dunk on strike. And Holders into last ball. First over, tucked away off the pads. Short fine leg. Throw comes in from Dwarshus, actually that's Stephen O'Keefe, I believe. Misses the stumps to get through for the single. 5-for-1 at the end of the over. An eventful over. Couple of leaves. Ball that spat off the pitch. A slogged 4, a wicket.
Had everything, didn't it?
Cheeky single, yeah.
Yeah, never dull. When me and you are on the air, it all seems to be happening. Yeah, I just think, you know, I know coaches encourage players to go out and this new buzz terminology, express yourself and, you know, play your way. But, you know, there's still an element of batting where you still have to give yourself a chance. And, you know, remember, you're not slogging around idiots. You're trying to slog around professional, in some cases, international bowlers. So I think there's opportunity there to just give yourself maybe 8 to 10 balls just to get a feel and a flavour of what's going on out there, conditions, and then, you know, look to target an over in the power plays. You still have more time than you think. I think just sort of trying to go out there hitting every ball, I think, you know, you're going to struggle to be consistently good. You see even the greatest, Chris Gale, you know, he tends to now take his time just to get an idea, and then he targets a bowler and you can quickly catch your score up.
Left arm seamer Ben Dwarshus. He's going to bowl the second over of the day. It's short and goes through to the keeper, Josh Philippi, and there's no run. It's not been given us a wide. It looked quite... No, it's not been given us a wide. He's got away with that. Ben Dwarshus, a sort of Lord Lucan look-alike with a very sinister moustache.
You got them all today, didn't you?
Oh, well, it is my favourite matchup, really. It's the gift that keeps on giving is the stars.
You got Ben Dunks, a.k.a. Born Identity. Now you've got Ben Dwarshus, Lord Lucan.
We've got Ben Menenti, so it's a triptych of Ben's. Dwarshus in again, full, driven, square of the wicket, nicely by Dunk. That's a really measured shot. It should pick up 3 for it as it runs away through backward point. And indeed, the batsmen have come back for 3. Decent running, 8-for-1. I mean, is there an element, I'm thinking of Fletcher's dismissal here, where, you know, driving Jason Holder in the first overs, must be a hard man to drive at the best of times. You mentioned his height and the bounce he's going to get off the pitch. Might not be the right shot, but then it might be a perfect matchup, because I suppose if that's Fletcher's go-to shot.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt Andre Fletcher, you can see he's a big front foot sort of player. That's why he got caught with that ball that was sort of back of a length. He saw it late, didn't really have time to adjust. But I think also we respect the fact there was 5 balls into the over, and the ball is going to misbehave at his hardest. So given that, you know, there's other bowlers, maybe a Dwarshus a bit more skiddier.
Hilton Cartwright faces his first ball from Dwarshus, which thuds into his pads. There's no run.
You know, someone like Dwarshus, who's a bit shorter in height and generally will be a little bit more along what we call along the wicket, trying to pitch it up for swing. Might have been the better guy to target if I was an Andre Fletcher, rather than, like you say, trying to hit a Jason Holder back over his head with that excessive bounce. So that's what I say, you know, to try and give yourself a couple of balls to just get an idea of the wicket.
Dwarshus in again, and Cartwright plays a flat-footed waft at this, and it goes actually past his inside edge through to Philippi, and there's no run.
The danger is sometimes with this, coaches saying to players, "Oh, express yourself," is that it does become a little bit sometimes one-dimensional. That players are not adapting to the conditions always.
Dwarshus left arm over the wicket. He's getting a little bit out of the pitch here. He has done so far in this big bash ball well so far. He's in again short, and Cartwright's giving himself room and gets nowhere near this. Where Ben Dunk sounds like a kind of gum-chewing PI's dirty assistant, Hilton Cartwright is very much the head of a blue-chip financial services corporation, isn't he?
I'll tell you one thing, he's got the biggest... I reckon I likened him to Louis Ferringo when I was at the Scorchers. He has got the biggest neck I've ever seen on any human.
The Incredible Hulk?
Yeah.
You wouldn't like him when he's angry?
No.
Hilton Cartwright.
Big lad.
Dwarshus in again. Cartwright goes for the little flip up and over, and bless him, He's so far missed everything. He's had four balls, got nowhere near it, nowhere near any of them. This time trying to make a little bit of shape across the crease and flip it over the keeper, gets nothing on it. Good over from Dwarshuis, 3 off the second ball, and after that 4 dot balls. The Stars labouring a little here at the start of this innings at 8-1.
Yeah, there seems to be a little bit in the pitch, as you would expect. New ball as well, as I said at the top of the programme. I think it's been a few flat-footed wafts. No one really sort of trying to play some normal cricket shots. They're trying to maybe be a little bit too extravagant too early until you've got a real feel of the pitch. It just looks like the odd ball's just holding up. See what Ben Dunk can do to Jason Holder this over.
Still in the power play. 2 more overs of power play to come. Dunk defends first ball of Jason Holder's next delivery off the front foot. Next over, the front foot back to the bowler, and there is no run. We've talked about this a few times now in the Big Bash with the surge as your kind of get out of jail free card. You sort of don't have to panic if it doesn't all happen in the first 4 overs, don't you? Because you've got the opportunity to get a couple of players in and maybe go again hard off the 10th over. Holder in again, and Dunk is surprised by this ball. It pops on him slightly off a length on a round off stump and is pushed into the offside. And there's no run. We've got right armour to left-hander. We've had left-hander to right armour. These angles are causing a few problems here for the Stars at the moment.
Yeah, I always used to go on the principle that nothing is harder to stop than 2 batsmen who are in and going. Constantly losing wickets. You're here fielding teams saying around the field, let's get 2 or 3 in the power play. And the reason they say that is because they want to squeeze the opposition.
Dunk is beaten this time by a beauty, exactly, that goes flying past the outside edge of Dunk's bat from Holder. He's getting a bit of bounce, getting a bit of nip. We've seen this in the Big Bash. Down in Launceston and in Hobart, there was a fair bit of movement early on for the hard new Kookaburra ball. And bowlers really coming into play. We saw Dan Worrell bowl an extraordinary spell, didn't we? 4 overs every ball. Back of a length in the slot, just sort of moving away ever so slightly. Dunk comes down the wicket, slaps this in the air over extra cover for 4. That was an enterprising shot from Dunk, who I think has decided he didn't want to die wondering, and he's used his feet and come down a pitch at Holder and picked up just the 2nd boundary of the innings. Stars 12-1.
Yeah, and I would say good cricket from Ben Dunk. It's a fairly conventional shot. He used his feet. He tried to get closer to Jason Holder's length, which I think you've got to try and do. He's not excessively quick, Jason Holder, so you can probably kind of bowl. You can afford to maybe have a little run down from time to time, just try and upset his length.
In again is Holder, and Dunk just rides this and then beautifully angles it past the diving gully down towards the deep backward point boundary. O'Keefe does the fielding, and they'll pick up a couple of runs as the throw comes in left-handed to 14-1. I like Dunk. He's been around the Big Bash a long time, hasn't he? He's a sort of busy, characterful kind of player.
Yeah, he was. I think he spent some time at Hobart Hurricanes. I played against him a few times. Very good player, especially in this format. He's done some tournaments around the world, I believe, PSLs and various other tournaments, and Caribbean Premier League, I believe, as well. And he's done pretty well.
Holder in to complete his 2nd over, and Dunk clips this away, square of the wicket, backward a square, really, out to deep backward square leg, where Carlos Brathwaite does the fielding. 1 more to the total, 15-1. At the end of the 3rd over. 7 runs off that over, all to Ben Dunk, who will keep the strike. He has 11. Hilton Cartwright yet to score.
I think Ben Dunk was, unfortunately, I think he had a little go with Australia in one form, I think. I think he was just one of those guys, unfortunately, age was kind of against him a little bit when he got picked. There was probably some younger guys around, the Australian being in a transitional period. He probably didn't get the go he probably deserved, but yeah, been a fine player for a very long time in all formats of the game.
Coming up for the Stars, we've got the big show Maxwell, Nicholas Pooran and Nick Larkin and Coulter Nile. That's one heck of a middle order, isn't it, if that fires? But we've said a lot about what might fire on paper, and we've seen that, say for example, a side like the Renegades, you lose a few wickets up top, and before you know it, you collapse like a pack of cards. So the game is not played on paper, of that there is no doubt.
It's in the head at this stage, mate.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, you'd have been you'd have played in Big Bash as Brathwaite starts anew over the fourth and final of the power play, and Dunk slaps this along the ground, but straight to mid-on, no run. You'd have played in around Christmas, Boxing Day.
Yep.
Christmas for cricketers in Australia just doesn't exist, does it? Do you just sort of do it? Do you do it earlier or later? Because you can't really have a proper Christmas blowout, can you, if you're sort of playing?
Not if you played under Justin Langer in the Scorchers, mate.
No.
No, we had a nice day. We'd have the day off, obviously be with families, and the 2 years I spent was over in the Scorchers. We had dinner with the Langers, which was lovely, and obviously then the next day we're on a flight, or in that evening we're on a flight somewhere to go and play the next day. So yeah, it was a bit different.
Round the wicket, Brathwaite, the left-handed Dunk, who just jabs this into the ground, a full-length delivery, and it's picked up by Josh Philippi running from behind the stumps. There's no run.
It's just something different about sometimes going to the beach as opposed to wrapping up in your sort of jumpers and duffel coat for a walk.
I really like it. I have to say, that was there for the Ashes a few years back with Henry Moran, who's going to be coming on very shortly. And my wife found it very difficult because to her, Brathwaite in and wraps on the pad of Dunk and goes square at the wicket and the offside to get through for a single.
Should be a log fire rather than a barbecue, shouldn't it, really?
Well, we were driving after the Perth Test match. We took a little drive along the south coast from Adelaide to Melbourne, where the next Boxing Day Test is taking place. And we'd go into these sort of nice seaside towns, and there'd be the snow is snowing and the sleigh bells, whatever, and it's like 38 degrees and you're wearing a linen shirt and a pair of shorts, and my wife couldn't actually get her head round it. To me, this was perfection. I mean,
utopia, isn't it?
I wish it could be sunshine every day to mangle up the song. Full and driven by Cartwright. He's finally got some bat on this. It was wide of his off stump, but it's going to run away to the boundary before. His feet nowhere near it still, but his hands moved beautifully towards the ball, and he's picked up a good boundary for his side, 20 for 1.
Yeah, that was a lovely shot from Cartwright. Like you say, not much foot movement, but Brathwaite just serving up probably a little bit too much width, which allowing Cartwright to just throw the hands through the ball. Maybe sign of things that the ball now is not doing as much, so the batsman's got a bit more trust in his wicket to be able to sort of plant the feet.
Brathwaite in, and that's a cut. I say cut, it won a back foot drive, and it whistled off Cartwright's bat, but straight to the fielder in the covers. As a result, there's no run. Yeah, we saw it stopping from Holder, and a little bit actually from Dwarshuis in the first couple of overs with the hard new ball, but already it's just starting to come onto the bat a bit more ominously for the Sixers.
Yeah, and also remember, someone like Carlos Brathwaite, a final rounder in his own right, but probably not got the sort of skills of a Jason Holder or the consistency. So, someone that I feel the Stars probably can target, get after him.
Last ball of the power play is driven in the air, but without timing, off the bottom of the bat by Cartwright. He'll pick up a couple of runs as it sort of scoops over extra cover and just outside the 30-yard circle. They come back for a couple of runs. 22 for 1. Cartwright 6 from 7. Ben Dunk 11 from 12. So that is the power play. 2 more overs of it in the third to come in the second half of the inning. So yeah, back to Christmas. I know some Aussies will do a barbecue and what have you, but I think we had full Christmas dinner with all the trimmings, didn't we, in Melbourne? When so again, you're kind of like having the turkey, and there's a Christmas pudding, and you think, come on, Australia, get your own traditions. Just work some out for yourself. It's 40 degrees out there. We have roast dinner because it's midwinter. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you're traditionally eating up all the kind of dried fruits and stuff, haven't you, that you've sort of harvested back in September, and for them, they've got like avocados growing on the trees, got lemons and oranges. It should be salads and tomatoes and onions and all the kind of lovely summer stuff. But no, they do Christmas like they're in December.
Correct. Yeah.
But they play cricket, so I suppose cricket for them in summer is like our Boxing Day football schedule, isn't it?
Yeah. Let me tell you, out in the west, that is around this time now. The cooker gets turned up nicely. From about sort of 8 in the morning, you look up at the temperature clock at the Wacker, and it was already up for 29 degrees. Ooh. You're in for Yeah, you're in for a hot day.
And Perth, I guess, you know, has been one of the sort of drier,
Very.
really. Do you find that easier to handle, say, than the sort of Brisbane heat, the sort of tropical, steamy heat of Brisbane?
Yeah, Brisbane I found, I've only really played there in Test cricket, but I found that it was very humid because we had a massive thunderstorm the night before, and it was, that first sort of half of the day was hard to breathe, really.
Dan Christian round the wicket is going to bowl his first delivery. It's a full toss which is clipped away nicely by Dunk out towards the boundary. It will get there. Holder couldn't get around to his left from long on to stop it. He was close to it but not quite made it, and Christian just missing his length there. Wasn't, not by much, by about half a yard or so, but that's all it needed to be for Dunk to turn that into a low full toss and pick up another boundary. 26 for 1 in the 5th over.
Yeah, it was a lovely shot by Dunk, just drifting onto his legs. Seems to have got a little bit of a gauge of this wicket now, still to get his rhythm, find the boundaries a few times.
Here is Christian, full and dug out by Dunk. Just squeezes that to point. Can't get it beyond Ben Dwashus, and there is no run. I've got to stop doing Ben Dwashus' name in a bad New York accent, but Dwashus and Stoinis, they bring out, you know, the kind of Stoinis.
Yeah. It's like it's from Joyzy.
Yeah. I think I've been watching too many episodes of The Sopranos lately. So I've started it. First time. I'm a convert.
Are you enjoying it?
Oh, man. Christian in. Shorter this time. Pulled away nicely by Dunk, but straight to deep back square leg on the one bounce. Well, mid-wicket, really. And they pick up a single. Dunk to 16. Cartwright 6. Stars 27 for 1. Recovering after the loss of Andre Fletcher to the 5th ball of the first over, caught by Dan Christian off the bowling of Jason Holder. Big Bash League on 5 Live Sports Extra with Daniel Norcross, Michael Carberry, and shortly, almost wearing a snood, it's going to be Henry Moran.
He's looking very stylish today.
He is.
Henry.
Well.
He looks like he should be on a GQ mag, don't he? Like on a catwalk somewhere.
Don't encourage him. Yeah. He effortlessly oozes style as Cartwright pulls his next delivery down to deep backward square leg for a single. I think you're imagining, he's sort of on a beach, and he's got his right arm leaning on his right elbow, and he's gazing out to sea with a slightly furrowed brow, wearing a thin jumper to protect from the wind whipping off the sea. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I get it. Slightly unshaven.
That's it. A little bit of designer stubble.
Yeah. And you're always trying to work out what's going through his mind as he gazes out to sea in that natty thin polo jumper. Christian is in. Dunk comes down a wicket, but it's followed by Christian, and Dunk's only able to sort of push it off the front foot out into the covers for a single. 29 for 1. One ball remains in the 5th.
It's a cautious start from the Stars still, isn't it? It's not been what we sort of anticipated. We talked about the powerhouse batting lineup. You feel that something's just bubbling now with the Stars. So which one of these bowlers, is it a Dan Christian they're going to get after? They've still got to bring spinners on.
I suppose when you've got Maxwell and Pooran, but like I say, you sort of imagine, well, we've got Maxwell and Pooran, they'll up the rate. It doesn't always work like that, but I suppose they are setting a platform as Christian is in, unshaven, over the wickets to the right-handed Cartwright, who pushes off the back foot into the covers nicely. Back to deep point. They'll come through for a single and no more. That is the end of the 5th over. The Stars have been put into about a 30 for 1. Cartwright has 8. Dunk has 17. Thoughts from Michael Carberry. And then for the first time today, it will be the snooded Henry Moran.
Yeah, I think overall the Stars would be fairly pleased with this start. Not the fireworks we all expected, but I think in respect to the Sixers bowlers who've actually bowled pretty well, they haven't given too much away. I think Jason Holder set them off to the perfect start, really getting a wicket in the first over of the game, dismissing Andre Fletcher. But Hilton Cartwright's come in and, as most good number 3s should do, just giving a bit of support, taking some of the pressure away.
Here comes Dwashus then, and this is walloped away into the leg side. Really good hit for 6. Cartwright gets all of it over deep mid-wicket, and the start of the 6th over sees a monster hit. 36 for 1.
Yeah, beautiful pull shot from Hilton Cartwright. WA boy, so he's grown up on the bouncy wickets at the Wacker, where he's played some of his first class cricket, so he's well adept at the cut and pull. Dorset just dropping that too short really, and seized upon by Cartwright.
Daniel's just walked off with that sandwich. They removed less offensive things from the site of Chernobyl. I mean, here comes Dorset. Cartwright on strike, goes into the leg side again, finds the fielder at short mid wicket. I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, blimey.
That's
I'm glad
pungent, isn't it?
I'm glad there's 2 perspex screens carved between us and him. Wow. This match then, it feels, repeated last year's fight, it feels like a clash of the heavyweights, doesn't it? These two are sort of sizing each other up a little bit, it feels like.
Yeah, you'd say these two are definitely the favourites in the tournament, based on previous.
Here comes Dorsius into bowl to Cartwright. In the air it goes. It's got really high. Fielder's running in. Catch should be taken. Jordan Silk takes it. Good fielder. Good catch. Loses his footing as he tumbles to the ground, but gets the acclaim of his teammates as the wicket of Cartwright falls. 36 for 2.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Hilton Cartwright. It was just starting to look dangerous. Dorsius persisting with the short ball ploy and not really the man to hit it to. Jordan Silk, he's got one of the best hands in the tournament, really. Takes some unbelievable catch, but that one quite simple by his standards. And Cartwright, the ball just getting a little bit big on him, not able to keep it down. And that's another wicket down for the Stars. 2 for 36. Enter Glenn Maxwell.
Well, this is what we want to see over Christmas, isn't it? You want, it's a bit like the big films coming on telly at Christmas. You want the big events to happen, and Glenn Maxwell's one of them, but lo and behold, he's not coming out to bat, obviously.
Of course.
Who have we got?
Right on cue, Carberry.
Nick Larkin. This is a bit like when you expect to see The Sound of Music and it's just not there. Nick Larkin is very much not what we were hoping for at this moment. But he comes to the middle with the score at 36-2, midway through the 6th over. And he can hit the ball about. He's a powerful cricketer. He's played international cricket for Ireland, weirdly. And with over 500 BBL career runs and a high of 83 not out, he's certainly a good competitor. He's just not quite the fireworks of Glenn Maxwell. I suppose that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll be honest, a little bit surprised why Glenn Maxwell's holding himself back, maybe for the surge at some point.
Dunk waiting, left-hander. Hitting the ball into the leg side, up on his toes, will get 1. 37 for 2. And that has changed things a bit, hasn't it, the surge, tactically? Teams having to think a little bit differently.
Yeah, I quite like it, to be honest, Henry. I think it was something that was, I know we tried in the English game at some point, where you could take a batting power play in the 40 over game, and it worked quite nicely. Hampshire were actually one of the first pioneers to actually take it when you've got a partnership. So if me and James Vince were going really well, we take it straight away, and it does add a little bit of extra spice to the game.
Dorsius to Larkin, right-hander, chasing a wide delivery, running the ball towards Holder, third man. Tall West Indies captain crouches down, picks up throws, and one more taken. 38 for 2. I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? If you're a set partnership and you've seen wickets tumble in the first 6 overs, you feel, well, we've missed out a bit here. It seems a bit unfair that those bonus overs have already been used up.
Yeah, but so it gives you that chance to later on down the line to get your innings up and running once you've got that partnership going.
Dorsius into Dunk, who's running the ball off the face of the bat. Nicely played, again down to third man. This time the throw comes in from O'Keefe, and one more taken sees the score advancing. 39 for 2 after 6 overs. Dunk on 18, Larkin on 1. The wicket of Hilton Cartwright to have fallen after 14 overs. So you're a fan of the surge as a new feature?
Yeah, I think it keeps both the bowling side also on their toes as well, to know that, well, okay, when are they going to take it? Because again, it could mess up whatever bowling plans they may have, whether they save certain bowlers for that particular passage of play. From the batsman's perspective, it gives you a chance to get some impetus into your innings, or if you're going really well, to continue that vein. So I like where it's at. I think it just keeps a little bit more engagement for the crowd. I think it's almost that waiting for the big moment, aren't you? Waiting for that 20 run over or 25 run over where guys try and smash it into the crowd, or wickets tumble, as we've seen. It can go the other way.
It's almost like in T20 cricket, as quick as it is, between the end of the 6th over and maybe the 15th, there was always a bit of a lull in matches, particularly if a team lost wickets early on, because they'd have to rebuild and just be a little careful. O'Keefe into the attack, and it's cut away nicely by Dunk. He'll pick up runs immediately. Probably just a single. It will be just the one as a throw in from deep cover. 40 for 2.
Yeah, I think that's again why I mentioned it earlier, that it was something that was tried here in the English county game, to try and take away that, I don't say boring, it's probably not the right word, but it was not great viewing for the spectators, just watching guys tick along at one a ball for 20 overs. I think that's why they brought in the sort of batting power plays.
O'Keefe in off the back foot by Larkin, as far as the fielder in from wide, long on for one more. 41 for 2. Why did they get rid of it then?
I think, I mean, for me, I love the 40 over game. I think internationally 40 over game would have been a brilliant game, because the way guys play now in 2020 is really just an extension of 2020, and it just keeps that aggressive mentality going.
O'Keefe, leading edge into the air, dropping short of the fielder at short cover. Dunk looking a little discomforted, gets one. 42 for 2.
And I think what happened, obviously, the 2015 World Cup was disappointing from England. I think they saw real value in going back to the 50 over game to try and obviously get to the stage of what they got to last year and winning the World Cup. So you've got to say in that regard they've got probably a few things right. But
Larkin, big appeal, LBW given. Well, you called it, Carbs. It was a sweep missed, and as Larkin looks up at the umpire, well, it was inevitable, wasn't it? There wasn't much to save the batsman there. 42 for 3.
No, unfortunately not. It was a very strange move to send Larkin in at this stage, I felt. I think this is a situation tailor-made for someone like Glenn, the Big Show Maxwell, where he's in great form. He's the sort of powerhouse player. I think this is a real opportunity for him to get in there and get stuck into some of these second-tier Sixers bowlers, and really give the Stars some impetus. But they've fallen deeper into the mire now at 3 for 40. Which will make his job that much harder. But as I say, right on cue, and he comes with the retro. I've got time for that.
Come on, talk me through
I've got time for that.
Here we go.
So that is one of my favourite. I was with Kookaburra for years and years and years as a player, and that was one of my favourite bats, which was called the Beast, which they're bringing out. I love what Australian Kookaburras do. They bring back the retro stickers. I love that stuff. I've got real time for that.
Yeah.
I see the Grey Nichols have done the same with the old power spot, the David Gower power spot, and I mean that's why
it's ridiculous that a little sticker on a bat can make such a difference. But I'm completely obsessed with it. I'm waiting for the Ridgeback.
Yeah, they brought that out. Yeah.
Yes,
that
was my first.
So I rang up Kookaburra asking if they could send me some stickers, and they said no. The English Kookaburra, can you believe? But the Australian...
Did you not say, do you not know who I am?
Well, I'm not really that way inclined, Henry. You know what I mean? Humble as me.
But yes, I did. O'Keefe then into Bolton. Maxwell wearing the baseball cap, driven into the offside. And a single is taken immediately. 43 for 3. See, I'm all for the retro. I know that your football team, Arsenal, have started doing it as well. They've got some. I mean, they've got
hasn't done as much good, has it?
No, they've gone quite retro with their performances as well. Last 2 days. I'm all for the retro sports gear. Dunk on strike then. O'Keefe into him. Whacked away into the leg side to the fielder. Silk at deep mid wicket, and one more is taken. 44 for 3.
I've got some new sofas on my way to my house next month, and I've asked them to build them extra large based on Arsenal's recent performance, so I can hide behind it.
I like the way it's sofas plural as well, just in case the first one doesn't do the job.
No, that's it. I'm a big lad, so yeah, need to.
You can hide behind them both.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not been that bad. 7 overs gone. 44 for 3. Look, as far as I'm really confident that you'll stay up.
Glad you are. It's just, it's very odd what's going on at the moment. Very odd.
44 for 3 in the match between the two favourites, I think it's fair to say, at the start of this tournament, the Melbourne Stars and the Sydney Sixers. We've got 3 overs until the potential for the X-Factor substitutions. We've not seen it that much in the tournament so far, but just so you're aware, the options for the Sydney Sixers, Gurinder Sandhu and Justin Avendano, and Clint Hinchcliffe and Lance Morris are the options.
Still smell that sangria outside the window.
It's something else, isn't it? Jason Holder, his third over is starting now with Dunk playing the ball into the offside. They'll scamper through for one quickly to bring Maxwell onto strike. The left-hand, right-hand combination continuing just to keep a little bit of work for the fielding side, having to move around almost with every delivery, seeming to go that single at the moment. 45 for 3. It is steady accumulation, but nothing more, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, at this stage, I think the Stars kind of start to feel now they need a little bit of an injection of pace. The danger of being this cautious is they end up going nowhere and putting pressure on the likes of Paul Rand and these guys coming in at the middle order.
Holder into Maxwell, nicely played off the hips, running down towards fine leg. A single will be taken. 46 for 3.
Which is why I felt that at second wicket, someone like Glenn Maxwell, I think they've kind of wasted an over or two sending in Nicholas Larkin, and that would have been tailor-made for someone like Glenn Maxwell to come in.
Or Nicholas Pooran.
Or Pooran, yeah, with especially with O'Keefe coming on, left armour to left-hand bat. Very odd.
Dunk on strike, trying to run that ball over the keeper's head. Little ramp shot attempted, misses, and it goes through to Philippe. And there is no run. Daniel Hughes patrolling the outfield in the magenta of the Sydney Sixers with that 2-cap look that has become the thing of 2020 with the restrictions that stop the umpires now taking the caps from the players, of course, because of COVID restrictions. 46 for 3, midway through the 8th over. Here comes Holder. Tall figure, right arm over. Down the track comes Dunk, swinging wildly. And that is a horrible shot that goes through to the keeper.
Yeah, Ben Dunk's just kind of lost a little bit of steam out of his innings now. He's 23 of 24. Hasn't really got going. And I think this is a stage where I think Maxwell may need to sort of take the long handle to try and get some injection of pace, because before long this run rate seems to be dying a little bit of a slow death, doesn't it?
It does a little bit. He's got a strike rate of 106 in the tournament so far, Dunk. So he's okay, but it's not pulling up any trees, really. It's his highest score today, 23 not out. On strike now as Holder is into him. It's nicely timed away into the offside. That's a really good stop. A backward point by someone you know very well.
I do.
James Vince.
Do indeed, yes. Yeah, very good fielder, James Vince. You can pretty much put him anywhere. Very great hands, especially in the slips. You're more accustomed to seeing him. But obviously for the Sixers, it's been put out in the sort of ring, and greatly appreciated by Jason Holder, I'm sure. But I think they've been quite clever in their plans to Dunk as well. They've generally targeted them underneath that armpit sort of region, back of a length, not allowed him to sort of get on that front foot.
He's on 24, but Maxwell will face the final ball of the 8th over as Holder is into him. Gently played, pushed into the offside for 1. And the over concludes. So 48 for 3 is the score after 8. And a platform, but nothing more.
Yeah, you feel something's going to break here, this over. Depending on who's coming on, I would imagine they'll keep persisting with the spin of O'Keefe or something like that to pace off to someone like Maxwell. Almost forced Maxwell. Looks quite a sizable boundaries here today at the Camarera. Is that the Carrera?
The Carrera.
Carrera, yeah.
Sunshine Coast.
Yeah. So yeah, it does look like O'Keefe. So it'd be interesting to see what Glenn Maxwell's plan here. I think this is the time now. He's really got to try and get after someone in this attack, because very quickly, the overs are just ticking down here, and unfortunately, Stars are going nowhere.
You just feel, don't you? Something is just brewing, yeah.
That beast is going to get put to use, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Look at it, it's beautiful, isn't it? That was my bat, let me tell you.
Maxwell waiting with this new bat in hand. Smile on his face as O'Keefe is into the right-handed Maxwell, who drives expansively into the offside. Crowd enjoy it, but it's only going to be 1 out to Silk at deep cover. 49 for 3. The other factor look at here, as unless something dramatic happens in the next couple of overs, is the bash boost point in the second innings isn't going to be that high a target probably for the Sixers. O'Keefe to Dunk. Big cry of catch. It's gone in the air. How far has it gone? It's not going to be 6. Could be a catch, and it will be. A fairly tortuous stay at the crease comes to an end as Christian takes a second catch, running round from mid-off. And Dunk, his highest score in the tournament, but it's not been a great innings. 24 from 26 is the conclusion, and it's 49 for 4.
Yeah, really struggled, Ben Duncan. It might actually be a blessing in disguise. I think he was sort of just chewing up balls, and the Stars hadn't really got going. It might give us the opportunity to one of the bigger hitters, Nicholas Poran, to come in with the left arm spin of O'Keefe to try and, along with Maxwell, try and get some impetus. But yeah, you'd say a tough night for Ben Dunk with the bat, but he tried his best. It didn't look very easy, and I think that also to give credit to the Sixers in their plans to him as well.
Those sort of innings in T20, when you're batting, you know you're not really going anywhere. That must be the worst, because you feel like you're letting everyone down. Even
the crowd let you know, don't worry. Yeah, it can be tough. It can be tough because it's the expectation you put on yourself for one, plus as I say, you've got the crowd, and you don't want to put pressure on your team. And this is, I guess why it's a fine balance of getting yourself in, yes, but then recognising that, look, sometimes that's the time to press the go button to try and get something going. And sometimes, look, it takes a little bit of bravery and calculated risk. It doesn't always work, and that's the beauty of 2020.
Nicholas Poran comes to the middle. Second game for him in the tournament. The first one was the washout between the Melbourne Stars and the Perth Scorchers. So this is really his first proper opportunity. And this, I guess, in the absence of Stoinis, is the partnership that you look at, isn't it? Poran and Maxwell, that's where the firepower lies. It's Maxwell on strike, batsman having crossed, it's defended into the offside.
Yeah, absolutely. These are the two you feel really have got to pull Stars out of the mire here. 4 for 49 off 8.3 has not been the start they would have hoped for.
Hold on. Seen something, Glenn Maxwell, and they're just going to have to re-bowl the delivery. He's happy now, though, that Australian international, a little conversation between he and O'Keefe, who's shuffling the field about. Pulls that short third man just a little bit wider. Short, hit into the air, into the leg side, 6.
Here we go.
That bat gets its first little bit of real aggression, and it is smashed over deep mid-wicket for 6. 55 for 4.
Here we go, Glenn Maxwell. This is your time. This is what you do. What a shot. 86 metres into the stands, just dropping a fraction short O'Keefe, which you can't do to someone like Glenn Maxwell you'd say he's playing some of his best cricket of late, really. He's just taken the world by storm. These reverse hits, 100 metres.
Maxwell again. Gets in a little bit of a tangle. Bales are whipped off, but he's never left his ground, so there's no danger. 55 for 4.
And you always feel with someone like Glenn Maxwell, he's very much at home, as he should be on the more Australian pitches against spin, which tend to skid on. That gives him that extra bounce to be able to get underneath when he's looking to target over the ropes.
It tends to go, when he goes for it, tends to go hard. Yeah. Maxwell happy just to work the ball behind square for 1. And it is 56 for 4 after 9 overs. Maxwell and Poran batting together. Nicholas Poran, who is an exceptional talent. They would have played together for Kings 11 a couple of years ago before, in the IPL, Glenn Maxwell moved to Royal Challengers Bangalore, who I think can probably feel a little hard done by in terms of, Maxwell was to share his runs across 2020. It's been quite BBL heavy compared to what he managed in the IPL. He struggled just a little bit.
Yeah, I think on the slower Indian pitches, obviously more spinner friendly. I think Maxi struggles or has struggled, particularly coming in that middle order. Obviously, coming back home, his conditions he's more familiar with. It doesn't tend to spin a great deal, especially in 2020, especially not in Australia, especially to finger spin. I think he's more comfortable in terms of being able to...
Manenti, little short, but he's not punished as Maxwell content with working the ball for 1 to short fine leg. 57 for 4.
Yeah, in terms of being able to, one, manipulate the ball, two, when he's looking for those big strikes over the boundary ropes, I think he just feels more at home on the Australian pitches, as we've seen in those stats.
Manenti's shirt untucked, looking a little bit like he's wearing a Sydney Sixers replica someone's got him for Christmas that's a couple of sizes too big. Do you know what I mean?
No comment.
Manenti moving in, deep in the crease is Pooran. The left-hander gets one, blimey. And it's going to be a single only, 58 for 4. Manenti tried to field off his own bowling. And it was a sort of, I think the only word I can use is sort of heavy roller effect. Do you know what I mean?
I would say there was no water in the pool there, was there?
it was quite the landing from Ben Manenti, who's bowling his first over. Round the wicket, in the air, but it's going to drop well short of the fielder, deep mid-wicket. Jordan Silk is out there in the deep, knowing that's where Maxwell will target. And if he gets one slightly wrong, it could be a chance of a catch, but it's a single. 59 for 4. Yeah. All I like about the Big Bash is there are some very distinctive figures. Shape, hair, moustaches. Manenti
very good, Benny.
is pushing into the offside, is Pooran. Manenti's gone for the little little moustache.
Yeah.
There's a few of them knocking around in the tournament. Nick Maddenson's my favourite. He's not playing this game, sadly, with a full handlebar. Pooran again deep in the crease, working the ball in front of square for 1 into the leg side. They'll turn for the second, but decide against it.
Yeah, it definitely breeds some characters, doesn't it? You got young sort of Oliver, who we watched in the previous game with the afro kind of perm, Mike Whitney style. Adam Zampa comes with his sun hat with the chin strap
and the mullet.
Yeah.
Maxwell again deep in the crease, working the ball in front of square for 1. That's the end of the 10th over. It is 60 for 4. 61 for 4, I should say. 10 overs gone. Maxwell's on 14. Pooran's on 2. Michael Carberry, you're going to have a quick break for 5 overs or so, as we welcome Daniel Norcross back to proceedings with all eyes on the X Factor substitutions. Will we see Sandhu, Avendano, Hinchcliffe or Morris joining the action? We'll have to wait and see. All part of the fun in the Big Bash League now, as Daniel returns armed with alcohol gel, bottle of water, various cables, wires, headsets, masks, the works. Crucially, and most importantly for both Michael Carberry and me, no sign of that frankly offensive sandwich that I think has been either destroyed or consumed. Daniel.
Jealousy is a very ugly trait, you know, Henry. I think that might be the greatest sandwich I have ever made.
Do you think?
This is, look, you've got to take your pleasures in these slightly strange and difficult times. And I made a promise to myself that this Christmas, yes, it was going to be difficult. Yes, it was going to be different. But I was jolly well going to make the most ridiculously opulent stuffing I have ever made in my life. And you know, I did.
And you went for it.
Yes, I mean, look, it's not necessary to the vegan or vegetarian taste, because it employed quite a lot of animal produce, but it was, it did the business. I'm a very happy man. Now, one of the things that slightly irks me about the Big Bash is I love it, but we have to read the runes to find out if an X Factor player has been on. You don't really find out until you see them. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I'd quite like a sort of big screen kind of, I'd like to see the player that's not playing anymore, a sort of boat hook, and they pulled, the neck pulled, off you come, sunshine, and then...
You sense, if it's for the IPL, that maybe the substitute would be fired out of a cannon.
Yeah, you do, don't you? Exactly. With huge fanfare.
Yeah, sort of streamers. We have got to change, Daniel.
That's Gurinder Sandhu.
It is.
So who do you think he'd have come on for? Now, bearing in mind, it's got to be somebody who's only bowled 1 over, or hasn't batted, obviously. None of them have batted. Which sixer has bowled 1 over? Has a sixer bowled 1 over? Oh, here we go.
Ben
Manenti.
Oh dear. Well, that one over we just saw. Oh, well.
That's all we're going to see from Ben Menenti, a man who looks very much like a sort of American artisan, sort of truck driver type character. I always think Ben Menenti, he looks solid, you know, important kind of salt of the earth type character. But he's gone to be replaced with a more willowy Gurinder Sandhu.
Yes.
So 61 for 4. We need to make a note of that, because of course the boost point will come up in the Sixers innings shortly. But Glenn Maxwell is ready and waiting to take on our chum in the TMS box, Carlos Brathwaite, who's in right arm over the wickets. First ball is pulled by Maxwell out to deep mid wicket, where they'll pick up just the single. There's something rather lovely about the way Carlos Brathwaite comes into bowl. For, as we know, you know, big strapping athletic fellow, he's got this rather delicate little finger as he runs into bowl, a little bit like a sort of a posh person drinking tea. Do you know what I mean? With this little finger just pointing out to the side, which you can always see as he runs into bowl. He's just making small adjustment to his field as Nicholas Pooran, the left-hander, is on strike now. He has two of the most exciting batters in T20 cricket at the crease together. Are we going to get a Boxing Day feast? I've already had mine, of course. Brathwaite in, round the wicket, and that's just dabbed down backwards square on the offside for a single. Throw comes in, misses the stumps, but Maxwell was home anyway. 63 for 4.
And Carlos, of course, you mentioned his role with Test Match Special in the summer. On the TMS social media feeds, we did a sort of countdown up to Christmas of a few of our favourite moments from the summer. And our Christmas Eve offering, the iconic moment when Carlos reads the shipping forecast. What a moment that was.
Wasn't it marvellous? It's funny, isn't it, how just of late the summarisers from abroad have become fixated on the shipping forecast. And I dare say, I mean, it must seem very odd. If you're not brought up with a shipping forecast, you must wonder about it.
Yeah. Jim Maxwell is the real.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's completely obsessed with it. Here is Brathwaite over the wickets to the right-handed Maxwell, who can only push this back of a length delivery on off stump out to the covers for no run. The Stars sort of not really going anywhere, and they're not going there really quite slowly. 63 for 4. You get the feeling that Maxwell's waiting for Pooran to be in for another couple of overs, to be seeing the ball, and then I think they're gonna surge, you know. Here is Brathwaite, and Maxwell again can't do anything with this ball on off stump, just pushes it back to the bowler Brathwaite.
If we're going to continue the shipping forecast, this innings is more sort of dogger than it is German bite. Do you know what I mean?
Hey! Absolutely. It is, yes, it is more dogger.
It's all been a bit dogger.
Yeah. I've not seen anything too perplexing in the pitch. There's a little bit for the bowlers, but I think the bowlers bowl very well. Maxwell carves at this, misses, swing, no ding, through to the keeper Philippi, and there is no run. And again, that ball didn't do a great deal. It's not as if it sort of shot off the pitch, but Maxwell's just not got his range yet. 15 from 15. But you do sense, I mean, we've seen it quite a bit actually in this Big Bash, that seen teams struggle, haven't we, in the first 10 overs. We've not seen that many huge scores after 10 as Maxwell drives in the up, square the wicket for a single. 64 for 4. Maxwell to 16. End of the 11th over. So still going at under 6 and over, the Stars. Yeah, we've seen a lot of relatively low scores after 10 overs and then catching up. The last team's seen 120, 130 put on in the last 10 overs, not infrequently.
And is that down to the surge, do you think?
I wonder. I think it might be a bit, because you don't have the full 6 overs up front. I think, you know, sides are sort of batting a little bit within themselves for knowing the surge is there. I mean, I say that today the Thunder had a very good 6 overs, got to 70 odd, didn't they? Khawaja and Alex Hales getting some runs for. He's had a pretty rough Big Bash so far, but he's got going a little bit today. Both players made 30s. 64 for 4 as Gurinder Sandhu, the X Factor, is in over the wicket, down the leg side, into the gloves of Philippi. Wait to see the umpire signal. Was a little bit of pad on that. I think that's been given as a wide. 65 for 4 the score has advanced to. I hate to say this, just in case Stefan Schemmelt is listening. Were you listening when Stefan made the bold prediction that there would be, he said to Ravi Bopara,
he said there'd be none across the tournament.
None across the tournament. Here is Sandhu, and that's defended by Maxwell, but a nice little push drive to mid-on, and they get through for a single. 66 for 4. There was that 6 from Maxwell 2 overs ago, but other than that, we've had one other 6 and 4 4s. It's been hard work finding those boundaries.
I mean, I wouldn't take everything Stefan says with it's entire.
Careful what you're saying here. He's one of our chief scribes on the BBC Sport website.
Yes, I've had many debates about who the finest sportsman in the world is.
Phil the Power Taylor.
And that's always his answer.
Well, he is from Stoke. Full driven at, thick inside edge from Pooran, goes down to a wide long leg for a single. The batsman just not timing the ball at all. Got to give some credit to the bowlers, but it's obviously a slightly more testing pitch perhaps that we're giving it credit for, because batsmen struggling to time. Yes, I mean, I suppose that's quite a bold statement, isn't it? But then he's 17 times world champion.
Well, this is Stefan's argument, you see.
Up there with Joe Davis, great snooker player. Sandhu is in, and Maxwell whips this away nicely and flamboyantly down to Jason Holder, deep backwards square leg, and get through just for the single. Maxwell's stance has got more and more and more front on, hasn't it? Am I not imagining this?
No, it has, certainly.
He sort of now approaches the ball like Babe Ruth.
Oh yeah, there's a sort of.
It's not Wally Hammond, is it?
It almost looks as though, quite frankly, if I'm not going to be picked to play red ball cricket for Australia, I'm going to make myself as effective at walloping it in white ball cricket as I possibly can. And, forget your traditional
You don't want me?
Yeah. This is how I'm going to play.
Yeah. Left-handed Pooran is hit on the shoulder by a short ball from Sandhu that bounces away to backward point, and there's no run. What are the umpires calling it? Umpires want to have a quick look at Pooran, make sure he's okay, understandably. They're just, he's been sort of being punched on the glove to indicate from Sandhu that he wishes him well. But did that actually hit the helmet, not the shoulder? Because I
thought it had hit exactly where Sandhu just kindly punched him to say, "Are you okay?" It did.
Shoulder
and then
helmet.
And then onto
helmet. Yeah, there was a little deflection from shoulder to helmet. So they will have to go through, quite rightly, the concussion protocols and make sure that he's okay. But that was really the definition of a glancing blow. Glanced off shoulder, glanced onto helmet, and then glanced off the helmet.
Yeah, the Cricket Australia medical representative has just run on and had a quick little chat with...
it was that, wasn't it? It was a quick little chat.
Yeah.
There wasn't a sort of, look into my eyes, look only into my eyes, that sort of thing. Do you like the Sandhu move? Obviously, I think this is something to do with having decided that this is a seamer's wicket.
Yeah. It's one number 11 replacing another, so it's not a batting decision at all. It's the evidence that we've seen so far would be that players seem to be struggling a little bit to get it away with the seamers, so I wouldn't, if I was Ben Menente, I wouldn't necessarily take it too personally.
Sandhu in and Pooran hoiks at this, pulls it high over deep mid wicket, and it's going to go all the way for 6. A wonderful shot from Pooran. He's barely been able to time a ball so far, but off his 7th delivery, he has simply transferred the weight onto the back foot, swiveled and walloped that out over deep mid wicket for 6. It's gone 70 metres. It's not the longest of boundaries out there. And I wonder now if we're going to start to see the charge. Might we even soon see the surge? Well,
Carl, you would have thought this is the partnership to use it for, isn't it?
Yes, I would have thought so. Be ideal. Pulled again by Pooran. Muscular, brilliant shot. And again, 6 more. That is, if anything, an even better shot, I think. went from down to up and has smashed that into the stands. He's moved to 16 from 8. Maybe, look, if you're going to clear the boundaries, it doesn't really matter how many fielders are out on the boundary and how many are in the 30-yard circle. Within the 30-yard circle, 80 for 4 at the end of the 12th over, and 16 have come from the X-Factor man, Gurinder Sandhu.
Yeah. That was perhaps, I mean, it's not statistically the greatest substitution in history, is it? It's not, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the 1999 European Cup final.
What's the worst substitution in history?
Oh,
there have been a few who've been substituted. Substitutes who've been substituted.
Yeah. There would have been ones that have come straight on and been sent straight off.
Yeah, I mean, you as a dare I say it, Oxford United fan, you must have seen a few wonky substitutions in your time.
Yeah, I have seen. Oh, here we go.
It's the surge.
Here we go.
It's the surge. I can stop quivering like an expectant chinchilla and I can get down to business. The surge. And it felt, we could feel it coming, couldn't we? And I do like it when you can feel a surge coming. It's going to be Dan Christian who's going to bowl to Glenn Maxwell.
It's probably the bowler that you want from a defensive point of view.
Yeah. He's only bowled the 1 over so far, and he trundles in around the wicket. That has been his method. He bowls a horrible, ghastly, wide full toss down the leg side, which Maxwell absolutely disdains. It turned his nose up. It's a no ball. No ball for height, I would imagine. Now you keep your eye on Christian here. I don't know if you're watching the last time he bowled in the surge. Do you see it?
Yeah.
He comes very wide of the crease from round the wicket to the right-handers. I'm interested. Take a look at his back foot to see if he cuts the back line. And but I do like this angle of attack if you can pull it off. It's a free hit though because of the no ball. Maxwell needs no second invitation, but wild hoik just thuds into his groin region and down to the ground. It's a brilliant line of attack, this, from Christian. He also takes the pace off 112 kilometres an hour. It's sort of the most ghastly bowling ever. If you'd seen this sort of stuff 35 years ago, you'd have said this man's stinking the house out. But now it's about the most effective delivery you can bowl. Here comes Christian again. So he's got away with that free hit. Around the wicket to Maxwell. Full toss. And that's been walloped straight and into the seats. Wide long on for 6. A wonderful shot. He held the pose, did Maxwell. He advanced down the wicket, trying to give himself some room outside leg stump because Christian's spearing the ball into his pads. And he's punched it over long on. Cleanly. And I mean, actually quite elegantly. A very hard shot to play that. It's 85 metres for 6.
Extraordinary shot,
isn't it? There's Christian again. That's wider, and it comes on the bottom of Maxwell's bat for 4. I don't know how that's happened. It didn't feel like he'd timed that at all. And yet he's managed to squeeze it out. Christian bluffing there. Maxwell's expecting another ball on his pads, and Christian went wide of his off stump. Maxwell had to reach for it. He's got it over wide long off for 2 bounces for 4. So we've had no ball dot 6-4 so far in the surge. 91 for 4.
Yes, a hideous line of attack. Aesthetically horrible.
Oh, well, it creates horrible looking cricket.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
It really does. But it is quite effective. And that's what I like about T20s. There's always new little creations to try and make things a bit different. And
it's a little bit like my sandwich, to be honest with you.
No.
If you took all the ingredients and said, I'm going to put that together, you'd say, no way. But the end result is something spectacular. Wide down the leg side this time. Maxwell very cleverly has left that. And he's just decided not to move. I think Christie was expecting him to move across his tree, so he was whacking it into the pads. But Maxwell made the little shimmy and then stayed back on leg stump and then let the ball pass by.
That delivery was like your sandwich. Horrible to look at. Nobody enjoyed it.
Here is Christian. Shorter and pulled by Maxwell down to the boundary for 4. Fine leg is up inside the circle. He's placed that brilliantly to the left of that short fine leg. Christian was just pinging that into the pitch, but Maxwell got hold of it well enough to bring up another boundary, the 16th run in this over. We've still got 2 balls left to go. The surge is once again proving to be a potential game changer here. Maxwell to 32 from 23, 96 for 4.
What I really like about this is you're seeing, as we go, the development of new tactics, sort of 2 real experts trying to fight out.
Maxwell dinks this next full delivery on his toes out into the onside, and there's nobody in the ring on the onside. Christian therefore has to go and do all the running himself. Bearing in mind we've only got 2 players out in the boundary, that offside field is massively packed. I suppose that's because Christian's bowling into the pads of Maxwell, so he's got his deep mid out and his deep backward square. Poran on strike now. This will force Christian into a change. What's he going to do here, I wonder? If he comes round the wicket, that's going to be into Poran's swinging arc. 48 Maxwell and Poran have put on from 30 balls. Started slowly, but this surge has seen 17 runs off the first 5 balls, including, it has to be said, a no ball and a wide. So he's going to go over the wicket. Dan Christian to Poran, who drives firmly in the air down the ground. That is a glorious shot for 6. That was elegant. That was beautiful. And Poran picks up the 3rd 6 of the over. 23 runs have come from that over. 2nd 6, I beg your pardon, with a force 96 metre 6 over long off. And the 100 has come up 103 for 4. 23 off that over.
Yeah, that's not gone quite as they would have wanted it to, the Sixers. I think it's fair to say. That was a pretty rank ball. It's right in the slot.
Yeah.
Swings through it and, field up inside the circle with these restrictions. It was a reasonably safe shot as well. And you look at the Manhattan, as they call it, that tells you how many runs have been scored in the overs across the innings. Comfortably, that 13th over is the most profitable for the Melbourne Stars, as you say, 23 runs from it, and that exactly what this feature is designed to do. A sluggish, stodgy innings given an injection of life, which is what games like this actually need. And so more evidence, as if we needed it. We're huge fans of the surge.
I'm a big fan of the surge. They're going to need another ball. They've lost it, or it's become misshapen or whatever, but another ball has been called for from the case of balls. I do think they're missing a trick there with the case, but I think it should be brought out in a sort of really old briefcase, sort of like Henry Blofeld's briefcase, or John Arlett's. It used to be full of claret, sort of battered. Instead it comes out a sort of shiny attaché, which I think is a little bit...
It comes in basically a sort of camera case.
Yes, which is, it lacks style. I say whack it in a sort of, something that a kind of a pathologist in the 1920s would have carried around with them in an old Poirot. Dwarcius, left arm round the wicket, full on middle stump, pushed into the offside up to mid-off for a single by Maxwell. Brings Poran on strike, 22 from 9. Nicholas Poran's had quite the year, hasn't he? I mean, how long ago does it seem now since that wonder catch in the IPL? Which, that was one of the most... Well, it wasn't a catch, it was a save.
Yeah.
That's right, he was cheesed off about it. We interviewed him.
The scorebook just says it was, 2 runs.
2 runs, yeah. Doesn't say greatest piece of fielding you will ever see in your life. It was quite amazing. So Dwarcius, left armour to left-hander. This is another reason why right-hand, left-hand combination of 2 big hitters in the surge. It's like a sort of perfect storm for the Melbourne Stars, isn't it? This. What's the field? We've got 4 in the ring on the offside, 3 in the ring on the leg side. Because, of course, only 2 players allowed outside the 30-yard circle. Dwarcius into Poran, who drive chips in the air. That's actually wonderfully timed shot over extra cover for 4. It was really full. I'm not sure it's quite in the slot. It might have been even fuller than the slot. And Poran's almost sort of jabbed it out, but somehow managed to time that perfectly with a little push, dink it over the top of extra cover, which doesn't really do it justice because it went like a rocket. 108 for 4.
This partnership.
Yeah.
We saw, this was the... And maybe when we questioned the promotion of Nick Larkin up the order, maybe this is what they were thinking. We want these two together when we get the chance to power search.
Yes, I suppose it might actually change your thinking there. Dwarshuis in again, pulled by Pooran, high in the air, out over deep backward square leg, all the way for another 6. He is looking extremely dangerous here, Nicholas Pooran. 114 for 4, Pooran to 32 from 11. Now, as the other day we saw Dan Christian, wasn't it? Hit a 15 ball 50. You'd have to go some to do that, Pooran, but it's in that kind of ballpark at the moment. 32 from 11, and he's look how he's massively outscoring Maxwell, really. 34 of 25, Maxwell. Pooran 32 from 11, and the surge has now yielded, I want to say, was it 80 when they started the surge, or 78? I think it might be. 30, I think it's 36 or 34 runs have come in 9 balls, 9 legitimate deliveries. So some serious thinking for the Sixers to do here. Here comes Dwarshuis, lolloping in over the wicket. Left-handed Pooran, who drives in the air firmly for 6. That is the best of the lot. That is a 6 over a fairly straight extra cover. It was quite wide, it was swinging slightly, and it was 138 kilometres an hour. And Pooran's bat, it's got quite in the middle. That's gone for 83 metres for the second successive 6. 38 off 12. 15 ball 50 is not impossible here.
Well, a 14 ball 50 is not impossible.
It's not. Need a couple of 6s off the last 2 balls of this over. You never know. Dwarshuis has got some thinking to do. He's in. And Pooran picks this up. High in the air, over deep mid-wicket. It lands, plops safely, and they'll come back for just the 2 as Jordan Silk tidies up. Takes Pooran to 40. The score 122 for 4. The Stars were 61 for 4 at 10 over stage, so they've doubled their score in 23 legitimate deliveries, which is quite the thing. 61 in 23 balls. They go on much more like this. They'll be threatening the 200 mark again, which did not look remotely likely earlier. Here is Dwarshuis to complete the over and complete the surge. Well, he doesn't, because it's way down the leg side. A tumbling stop from Josh Phillippe prevents more than just the 1 wide. 123 for 4. Pooran now has outscored Maxwell 40 from 13 balls. I want to say that his first few balls he barely scored a run, so his last 9 deliveries have produced the bulk of these 40 runs. Here is Dwarshuis. Will he complete the over this time? Well, Pooran slapped this firmly, would you believe it, again over extra cover, not quite as elegantly but just as effectively, for 6 more runs. 129 for 4. This is a magnificent display from these two, from Glenn Maxwell, but most especially from Nicholas Pooran. 68 runs have come in the last 4 overs, and the surge, Henry Morandi, are you able to tell me how much the surge has put on?
No.
I think I'm going to be able to do that. It's amazing, isn't it? It's at times like this I really do miss Andy Zoltzman. 49 runs have come in that 2 over surge. Yeah. 49.
And that's what it's for, isn't it? Exactly what it's for.
I really like it. I think we're going to see the surge happen the world over, before long.
I think the surge, that might be it. This introduction here might be.
I agree. Well, why wouldn't you? I mean, look, we'll wait and see. The IPL may think they don't want to be seen to be copying someone else's idea. But I would love to see the surge in the Blast next year.
Yeah.
And indeed, I don't know quite how they'll do it in the 100, but that would be doable as well, wouldn't it? There's going to be a power play in the 100, so you could split that, couldn't you?
Yeah, you'd have thought. Nicholas Pooran's IPL record last year, he scored 353 runs and an average of 35 across 14 matches with a strike rate of just under 170.
170? That is serious, isn't it? I mean, that's getting to Andre Russell territory. So Maxwell's going to be on strike. Jason Holder's going to come into bowl. Wide, very full, and brilliantly played by Maxwell for 4. He had to reach for that. He's guided it past the right hand, a short third man. Rueful smile from Jason Holder. This is another thing that's so great about the surge. I'm not sure Jason Holder would be bowling this over now were it not for the surge, because the surge, that 49 runs, has forced a serious thing for the Sixers here, hasn't it?
Well, it's completely derailed what was otherwise a really, really good bowling performance. Completely
derailed. It's utterly changed the whole complexion of the match. At 61 for 4 off 10, the Stars would have been hoping to 160 now. They'll be looking at in excess of 200, 210 even, the way these two are going. Holder in, wide, well bowled, and swung at by Maxwell. An inquiry by Josh Philippi to an unmoved umpire. That's the one thing that does need to change. DRS. Oh, that needs to come in.
Yes,
it needs to come in. Apart from anything else, I have a theory. This is my theory. I have a theory that was slightly cooked up over the course of this summer, actually, when we were in those bubbles. Holder in. Maxwell gets another wide delivery, which will probably be given as a wide. No, because he's moved too far across his offside. It hasn't been given as a wide. That's a very generous from the umpire. That actually it was quite tough for the umpires to come in cold without the same amount of preparation. I think we thought that the players would be the ones who'd really struggle, but looking at those bubbles, for example, really good umpires like Richard Illingworth, for example, found they were making not as many perfectly accurate decisions. Full and on the pads of Maxwell, who looks to whip it through the onside but doesn't get anything on it. The ball goes through on the bounce to the keeper. That's a good bit of bowling from Holder. His first ball was expertly played by Maxwell for 4 down to third man, since which time we've seen 3 dot balls, one of them perhaps a little bit lucky not to be called a wide. But that last delivery was fast and speared it on the pads. Maxwell could get nothing on it. Here is Holder again. Maxwell pulls a slow bouncer out to deep mid-wicket. They should get 2 as throw comes in on the bounce. They do get 2, and Maxwell moves to 40, 135 for 4. And I think we've seen a little bit here in the Big Bash that the umpires have come in a bit cold. They could do with a bit of DRS actually as a sort of backstop, I think.
And the other thing is that we criticise a bad delivery, a bad shot. Umpires make mistakes.
They do. Yeah, I mean, they are on the whole really rather good. Full toss, it's so full, has been smacked over deep mid-wicket for a 1 bounce 4 is my guess. We're going to have to wait to see the replay on that. While you do get the replay, because it's such a faff to get in and out.
Yes, your departure.
I'm going to depart and leave you in the very capable hands of Edwin. Around 139 for 4, Maxwell 44 off 31, 4 around 46 off 14. It's carnage out there.
It is. Daniel, thank you very much indeed. We'll hear plenty more from Daniel throughout this game as Michael Carberry, former Perth Scorchers man, joins us in the commentary box with the score 139 for 4. And I think the other thing, the big decision that has sort of spurred this debate on is the LBW decision against Tom Cooper at the Brisbane Heat a few days ago, where he middled it into his pads and was given out LBW. And it looks horrible on social media. You see the replays and it's grim and everything else, but umpires make mistakes. Actually, DRS is there as much to protect the integrity of the game because they'll make mistakes as it is for anything else, Michael Carberry.
Yeah, and I think also, look, you don't want to take the decision making away from the umpires, and I think this is the danger where they can get a little bit too reliant on DRS. I still like the human element to the game. It's what you want to be talking about in pubs and bars, isn't it? They're not always going to get it right, but as long as the mistakes are not glaringly obvious.
Right, Puran is on 46. Oh, he doesn't get the 4 or the boundary that would have made him the level second lead, quickest 50 in BBL history with Dan Christian from a couple of weeks ago. But he is going along very nicely. 46 from 50. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, what a knock it's been from Puran. He's really taken the balls by the horns. I mean, some of those shots over sort of mid-off were amazing.
Brathwaite is into him. Pooran swinging hard, but it goes through to Philippe, and there's no run. This is good from Carlos Brathwaite. Good as well from Jason Holder in the previous over. The surge has been a dam has been put up in this flow of run scoring and limiting the damage that was being done by these two. 139 for 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it shows that the value of being, getting a partnership, and you can always catch up once you've got two guys in.
Pooran waiting, swinging, in the air it goes. It's going to be 6. It's going to be his 50. 50 from 17 deliveries from Nicholas Pooran, and he gets there with a brutal hit over deep extra cover. His first BBL 50. It's come in his second match. The first was basically a washout, and what an impact immediately from the West Indies batsman. 139 for 4.
That is an amazing shot. To get that ball up and over cover point for 6 is just amazing. Skill, timing. He's not a big man, Nicholas Pooran, by any stretch of imagination, but he's very, very powerful, great risk, good high, and this could be the telling factor in this knock that we were saying that the Stars were struggling to get going.
Pooran again, full toss, bottom edge, dropping down to short fine leg, and there's no run.
He's someone who's had a terrific year in short form cricket to date. Nicholas Pooran, very, very good ball striker. He's played numerous times for the West Indies, obviously in their middle order. Very, very dangerous. Can score pretty much all corners of the ground. One of these very modern T20 batsmen. Very, 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 very good to watch.
2 balls left of the 16th over. Pooran is on 52. A cry of catch. It's gone high in the air. Can someone get underneath it? Fielder running in. It's going to drop short. It was Vince at deep mid-wicket, but closest to it. But he gave up the chase pretty early because it was always going to drop 10-15 yards short of him. First one, Pooran's really mistimed. 146 for 4.
Yeah, just took the right club out, didn't he? Just dropped short. But what I like about Pooran's knock is, although when he's gone for the big shots, he's still kept his shape, and that's probably the first one he's probably tried to overhit. The previous 6s, he's retained his shape beautifully and just hit through the line. Very, very clean ball striker.
Because hitting 6s does not require swinging off your feet, does it? It's timing, and that's the mistake that you often see with a free hit, isn't it? Players trying too hard to hit it too far. Absolutely.
I mean, hitting 6s really is an extension of your normal cricket shot. So if you're looking to hit the ball back over a bowler's head, as you saw with Glenn Maxwell, he kept that the hands going through the ball. It's just an extension of the straight drive, and I think actually, as a batter, when you look to only swing at probably 60 to 80%, you actually hit your further 6s.
Brathwaite to Maxwell, who swings at 99%, I'd say. It was pretty much all he had, but it drops in front of him, and he's furious. And he's chucked that new bat on the ground, and he's going to have a little conversation with...
Well, that bat's got heritage, man.
16 overs gone, 146 for 4 as the trainer runs on the field with a towel and a new pair of gloves for Glenn Maxwell, who... he looks like he's worked quite a hard shift out there, Maxwell. He's sweating a lot. He looks pretty exhausted. He's been out there for 32 deliveries. It's hot, 44 runs to his name. And he and Pooran have recovered from a position where the Stars, after 10 overs, 61 for 4, 6 overs later, they've put on enough runs to move to close to 150, 146 for 4.
I actually think it's been quite a mature innings for Maxwell, which is not always something you say synonymous with Glenn Maxwell. I think that's where he's probably hopefully growing now in stature as a cricketer, in realising that, look, I'm not quite hitting it at my best, but someone like Nicholas Pooran is obviously, striking it beautifully, and he's just been prepared to give the strike over to Nicholas Pooran and not try to, I suppose, use too much ego. Which maybe in previous years gone by he'd been guilty of, trying to out-hit his partner. You've got to work together as a partnership, recognise that, well, I'm not hitting it that well, so it's better to give it back to my mate who is going well, and I'll just do my job ticking the strike over.
Christian back into the attack, and a big swing from Pooran, gets an outside edge, runs as far as Vince at backward point, and there's nothing more than a single, 147 for 4. Ego has to go out the window, I suppose. You just got to accept who's doing the business.
Yeah, massively. You know, I know from my time at Hampshire, you know, myself and James Vince both like to be aggressive, but on certain days it wouldn't be going well for him. So that was my time to step on the gas and he'd take a more anchor role, and then recognising days where I'm not hitting it so well, and let him have the strike.
Maxwell has 44 to his name as Christian in. Maxwell swinging. Oh, he's got all of that. Wow. 6 runs. Into the leg side it goes, and Christian looks to where the ball's gone and thinks, well, I mean, what can you do? He's hitting it so well. It's 50 for Maxwell. 150 is up as well for the Stars. With it, the 100 partnership, 104 runs from just 52 balls. They're going at 200 here.
Yeah, it was a great ball from Dan Christian. It was neither here nor there. I know he tried to slow a ball out the sort of side of the hand, but you can't bowl that length to Glenn Maxwell in this stage of the game.
Christian, little reverse tried from Maxwell. If he'd left it alone, I think that would have been signalled a wide, but such is the change in stance, it forces the umpire to re-evaluate, and Christian gets away with it. 153 for 4 it remains.
Yeah, I think the Sixers, they're getting a little bit ahead of themselves, I think, here. It's proven from Jason Holder and Brathwaite to some degree, who bowl some great Yorkers. I think, you know, let's not get away from one of the true basics of the game. You know, I miss you hit.
Maxwell swinging, clubbing into the leg side. 1 run is all it'll be as Edwards picks up at deep mid-wicket.
Yeah, I think sometimes you can get a little bit too funky with trying to mix your pace into the wicket and stuff like that, where sometimes getting underneath the batter's bats, you know, trying to get those Yorkers in, especially on these bigger grounds. The boundaries look quite sizable at this ground, so I think you can allow yourself to try and spear the ball in at the batter's toes or wide line.
54 for Pooran. 2 balls left of the 17th over. He'll be on strike, left-hander. Christian moves into bowl to him. Waiting, swinging. He's got underneath it. Has he got the legs for 6 runs? Yeah, by a mile. 6 more to Nicholas Pooran. What an innings. 60 from 21.
Yeah, but again, not great bowling, you'd say. I mean, that's just a regulation drag down. Look, I don't care what pace you bowl at. That's just a regulation club cricket drag down. And someone like Nicholas Pooran is definitely going to smash you into the stands. I mean, he's seen the ball well now. He's in. His beans are going, and you just cannot bowl there. You know, as I said, the stumps don't move. You've got to target the stumps, or you've got to try and target those wide lines now. Get the ball away from someone like Nicholas Pooran. You come in that hitting zone, you are going to disappear.
Christian to Pooran, appeal for LBW. I'm not sure there's much in that, surely. Running down towards the fine leg boundary as Sandhu will pick up. I think it'll be leg byes, probably. I'm not sure there was any bat involved to have saved the batsman. I think Christian was just desperate to see the end of Nicholas Pooran. No reviews, no DRS, so they won't be looking at it again. 17 overs gone, 162 for 4 is the score. Boxing Day cricket here on 5 Live Sports Extra. Michael Carberry alongside me, Henry Moran. We've got Daniel Norcross with us as well. Kath's listening. Kath, lovely to have you joining us. And she's at home saying, tradition for me to have a posh Boxing Day brunch. Hollandaise sauce has gone all wrong visually. I blame having listened to TMS, which was funny enough with the discussion of Daniel's sandwich. It's put her off her hollandaise sauce, you see, Dan.
It was a wild guinea. What was it? The guinea chicken that he had.
Kath, lovely to have you with us at BBC TMS if you want to get in touch. Always good to hear what you're up to. Boxing Day, a little bit quiet, so maybe you'll be tuning in to watch some sport. There's plenty of it, of course, over Boxing Day, and those leftover sandwiches to enjoy. And
bit of homemade sponge. My mum made some homemade sponge, mate, with a cup of tea.
Now you're talking, Carves. Come on. Here we go. Maxwell on strike. I can't concentrate on the cricket with that sort of talk.
I know. I'm surprised we made it through that session with Dan Sandwich, to be honest, but I'm just glad we're both still here to tell the tale, to be honest.
And never have I been gladder to have a face mask with me at all times. Sandhu moving into bowl to Maxwell. It's not going that far, but it'll be runs, a couple of them. Silk will pick up, but actually, no, it's just the one. There was easily enough time for two, but I think Maxwell's saying, well, Pooran at the other end. I mean, it says quite a lot about how well Nicholas Pooran's striking it, that Maxwell, who has 52 from 36, is not the man that's hitting it as cleanly.
Yeah, get on with it, Maxwell.
Yeah.
Come on,
Get
get
a
shift on. Come on.
Any danger.
It's just been an incredible knock, as I said. I mean, some of the sixes over sort of cover point and back over the bowler's head, the short arm pulls. It's just clean ball striking. I think the Stars now realistically can be looking at up around 180, 200. Who would have thought that at the 10 over stage when they were barely out of the 50s or 60s?
Yeah, 61 for 4.
Yeah.
Important for bash boost points as well in the second innings, but it's useful as a guide to how well this innings has developed for them. Sandhu, tall figure, right arm over. Into Pooran, who's swinging wildly. It's going to be one run, but nothing more. I don't think they are going to turn for the second, but Maxwell says, nah, not worth that risk. And so it is just a single. So 2 from the first couple of balls of the 18th over. Can Sandhu, the X-Factor substitute, do what he's been brought on to do? He was expensive the first over he bowled, went for 16. This second, if he can get out of it with maybe under 10 scored, that's got to be seen as a success.
Never in my life did I ever think I'd be saying that word. If a bowler could get out going for 10s, that's a good thing.
What a world we live in. Maxwell swinging. Oh, he's going to get 4. I'm not sure if it's come off anything other than maybe a little bit of arm guard or something. They're going to have a look at it. It's signalled as buys. I'm not sure there's anything on that. It's gone down to the boundary either way. We're waiting to see what the score
I think he was looking
addition
for the
will
noble,
be.
I think
Yes.
over waist high. I think he was looking for the free hit, Maxwell. Seems to be unravelling a little bit for the Sixers, doesn't it? They've got away from their early disciplines, trying a bit too much, I feel. Sandhu, yeah, you've got to try and get those Yorkers in, try and get the ball away from Maxwell a little bit, stay out that hitting zone.
5 wides, 169 for 4 is the score. Low full toss, clubbed down the ground. 1 taken. So another single, but with those 5 wides, it's sort of spoiled the over a bit. We've still got 3 balls left of this over, the 18th to be bowled by Sandhu. He's already gone for 8, so he's going to have to do well to keep it under 10s.
Yeah, I think these sort of pitches, I mean, it's shown when the bowlers have run in and hit that good length, there's still a little bit there. The batters really have struggled to time the ball. Pooran's capitalised on the real over-pitch ball.
Sandhu to Pooran, who's swinging at the ball that's full outside the off stump. It's good delivery, no run.
See, the York always works. Or using the genuine bouncer. As you saw, he clocked Pooran on the head early on. Pooran's someone who likes to come forward. He's a tall boy, Sandhu. He's not express pace, but got a decent bouncer on him, as most of these Australian bowlers do have. I just think that sort of mid-pitch drag down is just not the way to go on this, especially to these two. They sit back, play well off that sort of back foot.
Pooran on 61. Sandhu into him again, very full. How's he got that away? It's gone to the boundary. It's a wide third man. I just don't know how he's played that shot. It's almost a kind of Virat Kohli wide, that Yorker that is impossible to get away in theory. You jam the bat down and somehow it spoons away for 4 runs. It's a brilliant shot, 174 for 4.
Yeah, this is where your sort of multi-talented sports people come into the game now. These hitting coaches now, they talk about sort of gripping the bat, opening up the blade for the wide Yorker so that you can almost play a sort of slicing motion to get the ball up and over that point region.
Pooran on 65 from just 25. Sandhu into him. It's in the air, down the ground. I think it's going to be more runs. No, it's a good catch. It's a really good catch in the deep. Holder has taken the catch. And Pooran's innings comes to an end. If you're going to have a man on the boundary in that circumstance, have someone who's 6'7".
Correct. Good planning, but that was an amazing catch from Jason Holder. Big man taking the leap, or as they say, taking the mark, as they say in Australian AFL. But what a knock from Nicholas Pooran. That was a truly amazing knock, and he's given his team a real chance in this game from being in the mire, and I think thoroughly deserves the applause he's getting walking back to the pavilion. Stars now 5 for 174 after 18, giving them a real platform to launch towards that sort of, maybe say 190 now, maybe 200. Maybe if someone like Glenn Maxwell now can probably take the safety off now and really put his foot down.
He's completely transformed this inning. That's why you see franchises paying the big money for players like Pooran, because they can change a game that is drifting one way, and with a few amazing shots, it's a completely different contest.
Yeah, and also shows, you know, what pressure can do. It's not an easy thing to run up now as a bowler in 2020 with these kind of guys who can pretty much score around the clock at will, to try and execute, you know, this buzzword that's used a lot now in T20 cricket, short form cricket, is that word execute. It can make your target look very, very small when you're disappearing into the stands on what don't appear to be bad balls. We saw it just before he got out, you know, getting the Yorker up and over point for 4. You know, what do you do?
Dorshus back into the attack. Wide delivery, swung at by Maxwell, misses. It's inside the tram line, so it's not going to be a wide. It is a dot ball to start the 19th over. Nathan Coulter-Nile is the new man at the crease. Useful, powerful all-rounder. And he is at the non-striker's end with the mustachioed figure of Dorshus, ready to bowl once again. We've got 11 balls left of the innings. How many can they reach, the Melbourne Stars? 174 for 5. Maxwell's on 53 and swinging a full toss into the night sky for 6. Down the ground it goes, clattering off those red seats, and it's another maximum from the bat of the big show.
Yeah, again, just proves my point. You know, that target, was he going for the fuller Yorker, just getting it a little bit wrong, turns into the knee-high full toss, and Maxwell is not going to miss out on that. Again, retains a beautiful shape. He seems to have made a few adjustments to his batting stance since I've seen him recently, a little bit more open, probably to allow for that bat to swing through the line a bit better.
Dorshus to Maxwell, again looking for that wide Yorker, the bowler. He gets it pretty right. Maxwell will get 1 driven into the offside. So it'll bring Coulter-Nile onto strike. The score at 181 for 5. Coulter-Nile, who can hit a long ball.
He can hit a long ball, let me tell you. He's a very, very powerful boy. Good athlete. Bowls at good pace as well. Nathan Coulter-Nile, look forward to seeing him bowl during the Stars inning.
Coulter-Nile on strike. 181 for 5 is the score. Going hard from the off, but missing a wide delivery, which is just, again, inside the tram lines. Bar that full toss, this has been a really good over from Dorshus.
Yeah, he's you know, he seems to have settled in again after that knee-high full toss. But I think they've just got to keep their plans simple. Try and get the ball away from these guys, these powerful Stars batsmen. Don't stay out the hitting zone.
2 balls left of the 19th. Coulter-Nile waiting, running the ball off the face of the bat. Into the offside it goes for 1 to bring Maxwell onto strike for the final ball of this 19th over. So 7 balls left in the innings, 200 still on.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the key ball now. He's trying to keep someone like Maxwell on strike for this ball, so that you've got, you know, hopefully a full set of Coulter-Nile at the other end, who's just come in with fresher eyes. Is where do they go here?
Dorshus to Maxwell, who's looking for the big shot. Into the offside it goes, in the air, fielder coming in. Oh, it drops between 2. Brathwaite sprinting in from the cover point boundary, couldn't get there, and it's the worst possible outcome for the Sydney Sixers. Maxwell goes big, doesn't get out, but gets 1, so we'll keep the strike at the start of the final over. 183 for 5.
Yeah, I was saying it was interesting to see where Dorshus would have gone. I'm surprised he maybe didn't go for the short ball, the quick bumper. Probably a little bit worried about Maxwell having a dip, but I think at this stage it's just bowling it to try and keep him on strike, but hasn't gone to plan. So now Maxwell's he's on strike now to Carlos Brathwaite, and this could be anything here, I think.
Well, he's a good bowler in this sort of circumstance, Brathwaite. You know, he's one of the white ball specialist bowlers that has the variations, mix up the pace and things. It's just when you're bowling at someone like Maxwell, who's so in, what do you do? Hello to Thomas, listening to Test Match Special with a coffee and tucking in some chocolate from yesterday. What could be better than that? Well, what could possibly be better than that? I'm completely with you, Thomas. Lovely to have you with us. Hope you're having a good Boxing Day. It's Test Match Special with live cricket, lots of live cricket from down under over the next few days. Through the night, it's the Test Match. Through the morning, Big Bash League. Maxwell on strike. Brathwaite round the wicket, swinging into the leg side. He's going to get 4. Maxwell picks up the boundary at the start of the over. It's 187 for 5. Now just 13 away from that 200 mark. It's on.
It is, and a bit curious this new ploy from deaf bowlers now coming round the wicket. Seeing that Maxwell has sort of opened up his stance in the way that he has, I'm thinking surely that line of approach is coming into the slot for him. Maybe coming over and trying to target the wide lines is going to be harder for him.
Well, that's the plan that Carlos Brathwaite was looking for on that occasion. He does cramp him for room enough, and there's no run.
Yeah, but coming over, being able to target that wide line with Maxwell being so open, it's going to be very difficult for him to get his front foot across to the line of that ball. But fair play, something different, gives you a different line of attack.
Brathwaite then. 4 balls left of the innings, and he's moving into bowl to Glenn Maxwell. It's a shorter ball this time. He swings that, and it flies through to Philippe. Maxwell looks at the square leg umpire and says, well, surely that was short enough to be wide, but 1 for the over, says the umpire, and Maxwell looks...
Come on, Maxie, play the game.
Yeah.
They're allowed some bumpers.
I think in T20 cricket in particular, it is a batsman's game. I think it was short, no question. But another dot ball. Brathwaite to Maxwell, clubbing down the ground for 1. But no, they'll turn it down, no run. So this is a really good recovery from Carlos Brathwaite. 2 balls left of this final over. We've just seen that 1 boundary, the 4 at the start of things. 187 for 5. Now 200 goes off the table, barring any no balls or wides. So Maxwell's going to have to try and muscle and muster something to get them north of 190. He's given himself some space into the leg side. Only be the 1, or will it be 2? They're going to push hard. In fact, they've pushed for nothing. My eyes were on the ball, expecting that the 2 batsmen would be sprinting away in their pea green shirts, but no, they're happy to keep Maxwell on strike and back that he will get enough runs.
Would this come back to bite them, I think.
Maxwell on strike, swinging into the air for 6. Well, they took the gamble, and they get the reward. Maxwell finishes on 71. A massive blow over mid-wicket to conclude the over and conclude the innings that has somehow, in the course of the final 10 overs, seen 132 runs added.
Phenomenal, isn't it? But yeah, that's T20 cricket. You can have a slow start, and what I liked is Maxwell and Pooran, they didn't appear to panic too much. They got themselves in, and then they just took it down. It took really 1 over from Pooran to get it going. And Glenn Maxwell, I thought, as I say, played a really mature hand in terms of, not getting too competitive out there. He letting the 4-man do his thing, and then really capitalising at the back end and finishing up 71 off 47 balls for a start by Glenn Maxwell standards was, you would say, relatively slow.
Who's favourites at the halfway stage?
Well, I mean, you've got runs on the board. 193, look, is no mean chase. I think if it's going to require the Sixers batters to play well. Let's not forget, Stars have a very decent, more than decent bowling lineup also. The likes of Zampa. They've got some international experience in Coulter-Nile, who's been great with the new ball up front. Glenn Maxwell himself has chipped in with some wickets as well, so the Sixers batters are really going to have to play well. The likes of Vince, they're going to be relying on someone like him to get it going. Daniel Hughes, and it's set up for that game we've all been waiting for, really.
Certainly is. Michael, thank you for the time being. Michael Carberry, former England man, Perth Scorchers, BBL star as well, with us on commentary on 5 Live Sports Extra. So how did the innings play out? Andre Fletcher made just 4. Ben Dunk, a fairly slow-going 24. Hilton Cartwright made 14 with one big 6 in there. Nick Larkin pushed up the order a couple of runs, but then the big partnership between Maxwell and Pooran that saw the score moving from 49 for 4 to 174 for 5 when Pooran was eventually out for 65 from 26 deliveries. 17 balls, that's all it took for his 50. And Glenn Maxwell was not out, 71 from 47 at the end. Wickets in the innings, a couple for Steve O'Keefe and one apiece for Sandhu, the X-Factor substitute, and Dorcius and also Holder. So 194 will be the target as we see Big Bash cricket once again delivering here on 5 Live Sports Extra. Slightly different pace, it has to be said, overnight in the Test match. And of course, over the next few days, we'll be continuing with our Test match coverage from down under, that MCG Boxing Day Test between Australia and India. Of course, one of the most familiar voices on the ABC's cricket coverage is Jim Maxwell, our friend here on Test Match Special. He's been chatting to Jonathan Agnew about his experiences behind the microphones over the past 40 years during a stellar career. Agus was joined by 3 spaniels for this recording, and you might just be able to hear Marjorie and Albert throughout this, Jim's budgericars, when this interview was recorded a couple of weeks ago. Here they all are talking about Jim's cricketing career and how it all led to him getting behind the microphone.
Yes, I did. I played after a fashion at school, and I played some club cricket after that. And I had the good fortune to come to England in 1972 with a team called the Australian Old Collegians, which was a group of cricketers who were pretty good. We had one state player and a lot of what you would know as first grade Premier cricket players in the team. And I was very young at the time, and it was a purely amateur thing, organised by this organisation called the Australian Old Collegians, and it was the last of their world tours, as it turned out. We were away for about 3.5, 4 months. We played 90 games. We played in Honolulu, America, Canada, Bermuda.
Wow.
We were based in London for a while and then travelled around, and we ended up playing cricket in Geneva, would you believe? And it was an extraordinary time to be travelling around because alongside us was a far more famous team, the Australian team of 72 in England. And this was the way things were in those days. We were all made, and there were over 20 of us in the tour party, honorary members at Lord's. So there we were, sitting in the pavilion at Lord's when Bob Massey took those 16 wickets.
You were there?
Yeah.
Up again comes Massey, bowls, and Smith is out, caught at square leg. Caught Edwards, he flicked to the full-length in-swinger.
So there were you. So did you have any, if people who you were playing with then, Jim, on that tour, if they knew that one of their party would become the voice of Australian cricket, would they be a bit surprised?
They probably would have laughed. I think I was one of the youngest in the side. It might have been a bit of an upstart. I could bat a bit, but I usually threw it away aiming for somewhere in the pavilion. There were a couple of things I do remember about batting on that tour, because we did play against some, we certainly played on some very good grounds, and including we played at Arundel, we played at the Oval, and we played at Swansea. And I can remember hitting a senior, Don Shepherd, shall we say, in 1972, for a couple of sixes.
Oh.
But
you didn't get 6, though, like Gary?
No, I didn't hit one down to Bill Edwards' shop down the road like Sobers did with the sixth one up from Nash. No, but what an experience that was. It was, and I stayed on in England and went back to London and played a bit of club cricket at Hampstead for a while, and then came home. And the day I came home, talk about the time and place. My mother said, "Oh, I cut this out of the paper the other day. That job in the ABC you went for some years ago, it came up again."
No.
So I was, in September 1972, I applied for the job, and by I think April the 1st, funnily enough, the next year I was starting my job as a specialist trainee sport in the ABC.
Based on what experience, Jim? Why did they take you on, do you think?
That's an interesting question. I think it was a combination of a rough enough knowledge of this and that, but the last leg of the process of going for the job was to sit at the SCG up in the Noble stand there with a tape recorder during what was the Australia-Pakistan test match, and do 20 minutes of commentary. Wow. And I think that got me over the line. I only found out many years later who the other people were who were competing for the job against me. We were down to 3 people, and one of them was someone who you would have met subsequently, David Morrow. But I never found that out until about 20 years later. It was quite extraordinary. Yeah. So I was told by the bloke who ran sport that the audition at the cricket got you over the line. So,
and had you done it before? Was that your first? Had you sat at home and watched telly or whatever and just tried to, just commentate on cricket, or was that your first go?
No, I'd done a bit of rehearsing, and in fact, between the time I applied for the job and got it, I went in January of 1973 with my old school side to New Zealand to play cricket. And one of the players in the team was Peter Mears, who had preceded me at the ABC as a trainee. In fact, when I was at school, I had applied for this trainee job, and he got it. He was a little bit older than me, and he was a very good all-round sportsman. And so he gave me a few tips. I knew at that stage that I was going for this audition when I got home. So he gave me a few clues. This is how McGilvray would do it, da-da-da-da-da.
Yes.
So that certainly helped, the audition. He said, McGilvray is always talking to me about the importance of the pause in broadcasting cricket. Let the crowd take over from you when you've got a crowd.
Yes.
When the game has just begun and they're looking for a run, there's just one voice for the cricket, so they say. He's everything to cricket, cricket's everything to him, you know. The game is not the same without McGilvray. From a lefty cover drive, the one that brings the crowd alive.
So Alan McGilvray, there you go, that's the man. And I know, because we've sat and talked many times about that, I mean, the influence, well, first of all, I suppose just the voice as a young man growing up and just listening to cricket as you would have done before then actually getting involved in the industry yourself. But he'd have been the man who was someone who you admired, respected, and as you say, sort of followed, I suppose.
I think I learnt more about the game of cricket and the technique of broadcasting by sitting behind him in the commentary box. I was fortunate enough that he was based here in Sydney when I joined, and this is April, right, 1973. Well, by December, I'd already been given the opportunity to broadcast cricket, which was a pretty quick introduction, given that as a trainee, basically, you did the Muggins jobs of this and that and helping out and going down to the bank to cash a cheque for the boss or heading off to David Jones to collect his bread, doing all sorts of odd jobs without really doing any more than observing the better broadcasters do their job. So I was very fortunate to fall in behind McGilvray and be influenced by the way he did it. And his line lives with me forever because you had to work on him a bit to get much out of him. He didn't always solicit information. And he said, in this game, broadcasting, particularly cricket, you copy technique and make your own style. So that's kind of lived with me. And he did have a very good technique. And the thing about McGillivray, of course, is that when you heard his voice, it was unmistakably Alan McGillivray.
And Chappell to Amos. Beatley bowled him. A good one, a slow one, whipping back on him. He may have touched it. I don't think so. I think it came straight through. It was either a touch or the bat or the pad, but it went in, and that was the important thing.
When I was in boarding school, I used to listen to those series back in the 60s. And as much as I admired the colour, the lyricism of John Albert and the other commentators, it was McGillivray who you relied upon to tell you about what the heck was happening in the game. He read the game beautifully. And that stuck in my mind through all those formative years up towards the time I worked with him. So, he was a huge influence.
That was Jim Maxwell in conversation with Jonathan Agnew, talking about his lengthy career, and there talking about Alan McGillivray, one of his crucial influences. Alan McGillivray, of course, who was commentating on Test cricket since the 1930s. I heard him in 1985, I think would have been his last series in England. He pioneered a form of commentary called synthetic commentary, where they didn't have the pictures. And so they used to get cables sent into their studios in Sydney from the Oval, for example, 1938 Test when Len Hutton got his 364. And these little ticker tape cables would come in, and it would say nothing more than, Bradman, 1 run. And Alan McGillivray would have to decipher this from a studio, and it would be, and here's Vo centre Bradman, and Bradman has pushed that into the offside, just past Compton and the covers. I've gone through for a single, as if he could tell anything from it. But the man was a genius. He was able to manufacture commentary from the most simple of information. Michael Carberry and myself, Daniel Norcross, Henry Moran, are blessed by having actual live action that we can see, which makes our jobs considerably easier. Can you imagine having to do that, Michael Carberry?
Reading ticker tape.
Yeah, well, when all it says is, I think it used to say firstly would be the first ball, secondly would be the second ball. So they say, firstly, Bradman 1-1. And that's it. Yeah. They didn't tell you leg side, offside, thick edge, or whatever. And apparently they used to have huge arguments, because the commentators would get so deep into their cups, because late at night in Australia, and they'd be drinking the whiskey, which was a preferred tipple. And McGillivray would have developed a theory that Stan McCabe wasn't moving his feet properly, because he couldn't see. So we
could have done him a disservice.
That's one thing that hasn't changed in commentary over the years. I'm sure we do people a disservice, not wittingly, of course. Now then, welcome back. We've had the first innings of this, I say, top of the table clash. The two sides we expect to be are in and around the top of the table at the end of the group stage. The Melbourne Stars and the Sydney Sixers. The Sixers won the toss. They elected to bowl, and they had the Stars in all sorts of trouble after 10 overs. Stars were a mere 61 for 4, but a quite fantastic partnership between Nicholas Pooran, who hit a 26-ball 65 with 2 4s and 8 6s. Yes, you heard that right, 8 6s. And Glenn Maxwell, 71 from 47 balls, 5 4s and 5 6s. The last of those 6s coming off the last ball of the innings propelled the Stars to 193 for 5, 132 runs in the last 10 overs. So a tall order for the Sydney Sixers. Billy Stanlake is going to start up, the tall figure of Billy Stanlake. His first ball to Josh Phillippe, chipped in the air, just forward a square on the onside. Fielder runs in from the boundary to tidy up, and they're off the mark straight away. Phillippe's off the mark straight away. 194. It feels like a tall order, Michael Carberry. We haven't seen many chases of that magnitude, but after the first 10 overs, the pitch sort of stopped playing any tricks. The ball got a bit softer, and batting looked quite easy on this pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it showed the value of being able to catch up. This is the matchup I'm really looking forward to, actually. Josh Phillippe, who's gaining a massive reputation in Australian short form cricket, against Billy Stanlake, who we know, big man, bowls at high pace.
Here is Stanlake, and pushed forward in defence by Jack Edwards, back up the wicket to the bowler. There's no run.
Be interesting to see now the lights taking full effect, whether Billy Stanlake, who can swing the ball, will get the same shape with the new ball that the Sixers bowlers found early on. I think it just seemed to unravel a little bit for the Sixers bowlers. I think they got away from their plans a little bit, and Pooran, boy, did he capitalise. So
what an innings that was, wasn't it? I mean, it didn't start that well. His first 5 or 6 balls were a little scratchy. Thereafter,
the next 10.
Oh, yeah. Stanley in, that's pulled nicely out to deep square leg, but too nicely into the hands of the fielder. Jack Edwards has got to go from just his second delivery. He departs for a duck, and just as the Stars did, the Sixers have lost a wicket in the first over. It was nicely timed by Edwards, but unfortunately he's hit it straight into the hands of one of the 2 boundary riders, positioned out there, deep backward square leg, takes the catch comfortably. 1 for 1.
Yeah, it was a little bit of get off me pull shot, really. As I said, this is what Billy Stanlake can bring, bowling up around 90 miles an hour at 6'7". It's not the nicest thing to want to face first up, and Edwards not really doing one or the other, not hitting it down and not going up with it. I think with someone like Stanlake and his pace, you're probably better served trying to go with the ball and trying to hit it up into the stands than trying to get on top of it necessarily. But brings James Vince to the crease. He's threatened to look good through the tournament, as he always tends to do. He always looks good, but he'll need a significant score, I would have thought, today to get Sixers over the line.
Well, 194, that is a target and a half, isn't it? Look, you see it done plenty of times in T20, but we haven't seen too many chases of that size in this year's Big Bash, despite sides winning the bat flip and always putting their opponents in. Stanley is in, and that's a thick leading edge in the air, plops just in front of a short extra cover, and there is no run. Pooran doing the fielding. Philippi on strikers. That ball was in the air for long enough, so Vince is at the non-strikers end. Good start from Stanley. We've seen this throughout the tournament with the hard new ball on these pitches. The ball's just bouncing more than the batsmen are expecting, and they're not quite able to find their timing for the first 10 overs.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen. You've got a man at 6'7" bowling, high pace into the pitch. You've got to give yourself a bit of a look. I said the same thing with Andre Fletcher early on, trying to play those big shots early doors. It's not always easy in Australia. Justin Langer used to talk about that a lot, about trying to give yourself a chance, almost playing a little bit old-fashioned cricket, and give yourself, not setting your expectations in the first 6 too high, because once that kookaburra gets soft on these pitches, it does tend to flatten out, as we saw. The likes of Pooran and Maxwell can then put their hands through the ball not doing so much laterally and bouncing from a length.
We're having a little pause in play because Billy Stanley has called for a new pair of boots. I don't think he's broken his previous boots, but the boots he's got on have got incredibly long studs, and they are brand spanking new, which is a thing. Stanley in. Philippi pulls finer this time, down towards the long leg boundary, and it's going to get there. Cartwright can't get round to his right to field the ball, and Stanley can be a bit annoyed with himself there. I'm amazed by new boots on bowlers, because of course back in the day bowlers tended to have their favourite bowling boots, a bit like keepers had their favourite keeping gloves, because fast bowlers, they jam their feet in so hard. They need to have nice pliable footwear, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
But nowadays the boots you get are so deliciously soft. Fast bowlers just change their boots whenever they want. Here is Stanley, completely over, worked into the onside around the front pad by Philippi to short mid-wicket. There's no run, so 5 for 1, just that one boundary. Do at the same stage, I believe the Stars were 5 for 1 as well, mirroring the innings here. Billy Stanley, he played for Australia. He came over here in that one-day series that England won 5-0. And he really impressed, actually, in a depleted Australian fast bowling lineup. It must be tough being an Australian fast bowler at the moment when there's Cummins, Stark, Hazelwood knocking about. But I think his time will come. He definitely brings, when he gets it right. He's a handful, as I said, 6'7", can bowl.
up around the 150k an hour mark. That's never easy, especially in the shorter form of the game. I don't care how good a player you are. I mean, it takes some skill to be able to knock these sort of guys off length when they get it right. I think whether he can stay fit as well. I mean, he's a big unit, and it's never easy bowling that sort of pace for long periods.
Coulter Nile is going to be the other opening bowler, and Vince wafts the ball on the channel outside off stump, a little wider perhaps than the channel, through to the keeper. There's no run. You couldn't get a more aesthetically contrasting pair of bowlers than male model and catalogue model Nathan Coulter Nile and Lurch from the Addams family, Billy Stanley. But
you said that, I didn't say that.
I mean that in the most fond way.
Just hope he doesn't turn up in one of your press versus Australia games.
Oh no, don't. What have I done? Coulter Nile in, and I'd say chipped in the air by Vince, and it's going to be taken. Now, to describe that is going to take me a while. Glenn Maxwell taking the catch. Ball, I think, stuck in the pitch from Coulter Nile, and Vince played sort of 2 or 3 shots, ended up in so many minds it's unreal, looking ultimately to kind of dink it into the onside, but he got a thick leading edge, or outside edge really, top edge, and it has not really even flown. It's just gently gone to Maxwell, who'd taken about 7 or 8 paces back from short third man, or almost a gully region, just walked backwards and has taken it above his head. 5 for 2. James Vince goes for a 2-ball duck, and Michael Carberry tried to explain that away.
I'm not sure I can, mate. That was a ball about a foot outside of stump, back of the length, and you're trying to work that into mid-wicket against the swing. I'm not sure that has too much future, I'll be honest.
It didn't, did it?
But
it
that's
had
a
about 2.5 seconds.
Again, that's a frustration with James Vince. You know, this guy has so much talent and just always seems to flatter to deceive. I mean, that's just again, the same thing I talk about. You've got to give yourself a chance to get yourself in, as proven. Once you've got a gauge of the wicket, I mean, that sort of shot is probably on, but why wouldn't you just play that on the offside?
I mean, what was he going to get from it even if he connected? No, because it was, I mean, the reason why I struggled to describe it is because it's not a sort of dismissal you'll see very often. I've barely seen that sort of dismissal at all. I'll come back to it after this ball. It's Coulter Nile has got Josh Phillippe to bowl out. The batsmen were able to cross while the ball was in the air. 5 for 2. Coulter Nile in, worked around the pad by Phillippe down to a short, long leg. The keeper chases after it to retrieve, and they'll get through for just the single. Because, as Michael said, I mean, it was just a sort of length ball that was shaping away on around about 5th stump, 5th stump. And Vince was looking to sort of play this incredibly casual-looking...
to mid-deep to backward square leg.
Yeah. But, I mean, it wasn't even a pull, was it? It was a sort of... just a gentle dink.
I just think it was a brain fade. That's what I think. For me, unless he's looking, I can understand if he was looking to go hard at that length, say trying to pull it. At most, he was going to get 1 run if it came off, and I think that why not try and punch that through the offside and get 4?
Yeah. Well, he's actually pretty decent on the offside. Left-handed Hughes clips his first ball down towards the fine leg boundary for 4. It's well played, actually. It's a short fine leg is in. He said it in the air, granted, but to the right of that short fine leg, and got enough on it, did Daniel Hughes, to get it all the way down to the boundary for 4. 10 for 2, the Sixers.
And I think also, you know, back to my point I was saying to Henry earlier during the Sixers innings, you know, we talked about bowlers getting a little bit too funky with their plans. I think that was a classic case scenario of batsmen sometimes having too many shots in your locker, and sometimes good cricket still prevails.
Hughes is tucked up by this delivery from Coulter Nile. The pitches it around leg stump, holds its line, thuds into his thigh, rolls out into the offside, and there's no run. Our producer Adam Mountford got in touch earlier, by the way, to explain why Andre Fletcher is called the Spice Man. And it's because he's from the Spice Island of Grenada.
There you go.
So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. It's marvellous. The resources we can tap into here at the BBC.
You wouldn't have got that on ticker tape, would you?
No. No, you absolutely wouldn't. Yeah. Hughes clips its next delivery off his pads into the onside and gets it between mid-wicket and mid-on for a single as the fielders scramble to the ground. 11 for 2 from 2 overs. It's been a great start from the Melbourne Stars with the ball. Sydney Sixers are labouring here, but this is a pattern we've seen many, many times before in this Big Bash. Now, there is another thing to bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, out there. The boost point.
Oh, yes.
62 they need after 10 overs for their boost point.
It's not huge, is it?
No, is it?
When you think about them finishing up at 193, to only have to chase down 60, but
it's not a lot, is it?
It's not a lot.
It's not a lot, but if they lose a couple more wickets, then comes the interesting conundrum. Do you go, right, we can't win the game, let's make sure we get the boost point? Or do you think we need to take it easy for a few overs, we might have to, bin the boost point to give ourselves a chance to win? So here comes Billy Stanlake, running in, right arm over to the left-handed Hughes, who drives at this and misses. It goes, would you believe it, past his inside edge. Huge gap between bat and body, too much pad. Flies through to the keeper, no run.
Yeah, they just seem to have found an extra gear, these bowlers. Even encouraged by the 2 wickets, and seem to have found a little bit of movement in the pitch. As I say, the pitch seems to have responded well to the new ball, and Stars have bowled, decent line and length. No more than that, really.
11 for 2. There's Stanley, tall figure, slightly chinless, runs in, full, driven in the air, beautifully straight, very straight, the offside of straight for 4 by Daniel Hughes. That's a lovely shot. Momentarily wondered if mid-off would be interested, but mid-off's too wide for that. And Hughes got that so straight. It's just a punch, really, as opposed to a flamboyant drive, and it runs away for another boundary. 15 for 2.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. Good cricket shot, wasn't it? Ball pitched up and full face of the bat through the line. Good cricket shot.
Here is Stanley, sunken eyes. That's whipped away in the air, out over deep mid-wicket. There's nobody out there. And I think that might have gone all the way over the sponge. For the first 6, the umpires' hands are raised. What a shot that was. He's timing it beautifully, Hughes.
That is... I would say that is Viv Richards-esque, but left-handed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Foot across and flicked over deep square leg. I think the great man would have full appreciation for something like that.
It was quite the shot, wasn't it? Yeah. How will Stanlake respond? Well, Hughes drives elegantly, but to that wide mid-off, who makes a bit of a fumble there, Zahir Khan. And they'll get through for a single. Regulation bit of fielding should have stopped that. 22 for 2. Now, you mentioned the great man.
So Vivian is my hero growing up.
Do you know?
Still is.
I thought he might be, because there's a bit of footage of you doing the rounds.
We're going to rig this up.
Which is, without doubt, the most accurate impersonation of Viv I have ever seen in my life. You must have studied him to do that.
I was born a single child, that's all I will say. You've got a lot of time in your hands when you're at home on your own.
All right.
Say no.
Full driven, square of the wicket, the offside, they'll get through for a single.
You've got to make your own play when you're a kid on your own.
Well,
I did study him a lot.
It's uncanny. You've got like the whole sort of rolling gait thing and the sort of the whip. But I think when you do it in the film, you're doing it right-handed, aren't you?
Yeah. So I borrowed. So Johnny Bairstow at the time was sponsored by Slazenger, and he had the retro stickers, the red V, the V12, I think he had, Johnny, and I had to do a show for the boys. It was raining at Hobart, so and Stuart Broad was the cameraman, which did a great job, Stewie. I have to say, it was you've made me famous, mate. Thanks, man.
Stanlake in again, pushed into the offside square, a wicket fielded by Fletcher, and there's no run.
Yeah, so I was kind of around the cricket circuit known for my impressions. I like to impersonate guys, so especially batting techniques, and so I decided to pull out the Viv Richards, and it went down a treat. For young and old.
So were you the sort of kid who used to do this in front of the mirror kind of thing when you were little, as you say, on your own, no brothers and sisters to play with, just you in front of a mirror?
Yeah, my dad was a keen cricket student, you'd say. We had when I tell you the biggest VCR collection at home I've ever seen, and it would be ball by ball of just England West Indies series going back from '84 when we had our first VCR player to when Viv sort of stopped playing. So I had just a library of just sitting down watching this man walk out to bat.
It's pretty good influence to have, isn't it?
I mean, can't go far wrong, you know.
Right, Liam Hatcher into the attack. All elbows, he runs in, slip is in down the leg side through to keeper Banuk, and there is no run. Wide is given, 24 for 2, so there is a run.
Talking of impersonations, there seems to be a lot of Steve Smith impersonators going around professional, as well as the Aussie cricket at the moment, is it? Josh Philippi, we'd say, is better than Marnus Labuschagne.
Yeah. For those of you Welsh at home. It's a thing, isn't it? It's taken off again down the leg side. Probably be called a wide again as Dunk tidies up. It is wide again.
Movement looks very Smudger-like, I would say, wouldn't it? Would you say?
It does. I mean, are you going to see a lot more people impersonating this? Because what Smith has proved is if you've got the eye, if you've got the eye, and you bat that far on off stump or just beyond, it's devilishly difficult for a bowler to get you out, and it brings the leg side into play, which doesn't have as many fielders in it.
Yeah, but remember,
Hatcher in, Peel for LBW, the ball thuds into a bit of pad, but bat as well, rolls out the offside. Fletcher tidies up, no run.
As I say to some of the guys I coach, Steve Smith, he does a lot of the basic things very, very well. We talk about standing still when the ball's about to be released. His head's very still, his eyes are level, and that's all you can ask from a young. But it doesn't matter where you begin; it's where you end up.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if I can resurrect my batting fortunes, by just trying to beat Steve Smith. On the pads again, Hatcher, and that thuds off a pad, off Philippi's pad, down to backward square leg. They'll get through for 1, 26 for 2. Yeah, because you're right. There's so much of it going about. This sort of once, but I don't know whether you can copy Steve Smith as such as you've got to be in the game like him. Because what I see when I see Smith is someone who lives every ball. It must be infuriating for bowlers, but you know how he sort of replays each ball afterwards, sort of points to where he thought it should have gone, and all this fidgeting and stuff. I mean, that's not something that you imitate. That's something that you exist and be, isn't it?
Well, he openly admits he doesn't actually know he's doing it some of the time. I mean, I don't remember, having played against him briefly, I didn't remember him having as much.
Yeah, immersion, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Driven by Hughes, this full delivery up to mid-off. Throw comes in at the stumps from mid-off. Stumps knocked over the non-striker's end. I wonder if they'll have a quick look at this. Maybe not. I think maybe Philippi was home all along. 26 for 2, 3 balls into the 4th over.
But I think again, there's always a fine line. It's always great to imitate your heroes and take things from what they do. But I think it's also important not to forget to be your own yourself as well. And trying to imitate them so far can be distracting to yourself, and you not being yourself as well. So I think it's always trying to find a balance. Look, I mean, growing up, there was Viv, as I alluded to, it was Brian Lara. Graham Thorpe here was someone I love to watch. Ricky Ponting.
Hatcher full Yorker length dug out by Hughes into the offside, front of square. Fletcher tidies up, 1 more to the total.
There's things that they did, little idiosyncrasies that they had that I would say look at and think, oh yeah, okay, maybe I'll try a little bit of that. But I would always, but mainly in the manner I batted was also true to how I felt the game should be played. I wasn't ever as talented as Ricky Ponting or Brian Lara to sort of dominate bowlers in the way they did. I'd probably do that over a longer period of time, and my role was different. I was an opening bat, they were middle order batters, so I think it's also important to stay true to what you do.
Hatcher in, big appeal for OBW. He loves it, but he's a tall man, Hatcher, and I'd say that ball might be going over the top. A good rule of thumb that I was told by a couple of people, one of whom, Jack Shantry, who's looking to become an umpire.
Hey, Jack Shantry.
Lovely fella.
He was a nice guy.
He said, if you see the ball come up off the pad or knee roll, if it's around the knee roll but bounces up, the likelihood is that it's going to go just over the top of the stumps, or well over the top of the stumps, but just over. If it goes down off the pad, chances are it's hitting below the top.
Is that anywhere apart from New Road?
Hatcher in, driven but skewed really by Philippi in the air, and finds a bit of space as Maxwell runs back and athletically hurls himself at the ball, picks it up one bounce, turns and throws all in one movement. So there's an awful lot of sound and fury there, signifying no more than the one run. 28 for 2, the power play is over. Philippi 7, Hughes 17. The Stars, very similar situation after 4 overs, and they managed to make it to 193. It is tough batting early on, it seems, in the Big Bash. The Sixers just have to dig in and see if they can use their surge as successfully as the Stars did. But the other thing to keep an eye on is that boost point. They're well ahead of the rate for that. Just need another 34 from 6 overs. Yeah, I quite like it though, as a commentary tool. It's quite handy to have some sort of, it's a rule of thumb. It doesn't always have, look, if it's Sonny Gavaskar and it hits him on the knee roll, doesn't matter whether it's bouncing up or bouncing down, that is out, because he's a tiny, small. You were going to say. He's not the tallest fellow.
Sorry, listeners. So sorry to any vertically challenged people out there.
Attempted pull by Josh Philippi, goes out the offside. There's no run. Never say such a thing, but Sonny is. I mean, he's about 5'4", isn't he? I think so.
Yes.
Chances are that his knee isn't going to be as far off the ground as
very true.
Billy Stanley.
Very true.
So this is just a rule of thumb for those of you out there, but it's quite a handy tool if you are umpiring in club cricket. If you're thinking. And if you're a bowler, obviously ignore it and just appeal as you normally would do.
Absolutely.
There's Coulter-Nile, right arm over the wicket, pushed into the offside, and they're going to get through for a tight single. That's really well run. Soft hands. Man, the ball didn't go more than about 5 yards from the batsman.
What's amazing now is the amount of LBWs now in the game compared to maybe yesteryear, especially from spin.
Yeah.
Left arm spinners now to right-handed batsmen. The amount of LBWs now that they get, and to same to right,
off
Graham Swan
to lefties,
to left-handers, with the ball sort of not really spinning, just sort of drifting on with the arm, and batters not being so what's the word I'm looking for? It's not so eager to play forward, sort of getting caught half and half, because
you're still out, aren't you?
Right,
even if you're a long way forward. That's the thing, and not just from the sweep shot, because back in the day, same ball, if played a forward defence, you're not out. Sweep it, you're out. Driven by Hughes, but off the inside half of his bat up to mid on this no run. I remember West Indian left-hander Devon Smith.
Yes.
And whenever he came out to bat, Graham Swan tossed the ball to Graham Swan, and it was round the wicket, just hold up a little bit, out every
Straight
time.
on the shin.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, in the 1990s, he'd have got away with that time and time again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, it was Steve Buttner was one of the first umpires really to start giving batsmen out on the front foot.
Round the wicket, Coulter-Nile, short ball pulled at by Hughes and missed through the keeper dunk.
Shane Warne's front of the hander. Remember him getting Richie Richardson or something like that, just sort of playing forward, and gave it out, and everyone, it was uproar in the Caribbean. What is he doing? And actually, when you looked at it on the, now it's a run-of-the-mill thing, but when you looked at it then, we didn't have Hawkeye or pitch maps then at the time, but you looked at it and said, well, actually, he's not really playing a shot, and if he's not playing a shot, then and he's hit mid-shin, then why is he not out?
Out, yeah. So here's Coulter-Nile again, pulled again by Hughes, gets bat on it this time, goes down to Long Leg where Billy Stanley is fielding. Look, it's Christmas. Give a man a break. 20-30 for 2. One ball remains in the 5th over, and then mercifully, listeners, you'll be spared me, and Henry Moran can come in and actually articulate properly and not trip over his words for the next 25 minutes. Pressure, Henry. 164 needed to win for the Sixers from 91 balls. Here's Coulthard to complete the over to the right-handed Philippi, who drives into the offside. Andre Fletcher, the Spice Man, makes a diving one-handed stop. He's an ebullient character, Fletcher. He looks like he's enjoying his cricket. He's got fabulous hair as well. End of the 5th over, 31 for 2, Philippi 9, Hughes 18. It's been a claggy start for the Sixers, but it was for the Stars. Plenty more cricket in this. More thoughts from Michael Carberry, and then it will be Henry Moran.
Yeah, you could say almost carbon copy start for the Sixers. I think it's steady, no more than that. The rate, so at this stage, 10.8 is, we'll say, manageable. It's not case in point to panic just yet. They've still got a lot of firepower to come in this Sixers lineup, so they'll be keeping half an eye on that. But all in all, I think honours shared so far. Henry,
I think we're quite interestingly poised, but we need a couple of big overs, I think, is where we stand with things. As first delivery of the 6th over is whipped away by Philippi, who's key figure you sense in all of this, and a single is added, so 32 for 2. If you missed the news overnight, Australia bowled out for 195. Just the first, let me get this stat right, I think it's the first time since 1984 that in consecutive test matches they've been out for sub 200 in their first innings at home.
yeah.
So a little bit of fragility in that Australian batting lineup. No doubt they'll have resolved it all by next winter and be piling on 600 every innings against England. 162 needed off 89. Stanlake in, Hughes whipping away in the air, but it's going to land safely. And it's going to be runs. How many of them? I think 4. Pooran is signalling something to the umpire. Carbs, your instincts?
Yeah, I thought he picked it up for 6, but he's just dropped short for 4. But I like the way Daniel Hughes has gone about his business, actually. He's just played very calm cricket. He's anytime Stanley's got a little bit too full on the pads, he's prepared to work the ball away. He's pitched up, he's driven him. Just looked very calm at the crease. I like the way he's gone about his work. Someone like Philippi gets in and goes off. Let me tell you, I've seen this young man bat. He can strike a cricket ball.
36 for 2. Hughes on strike. Slower ball this time from Stanley. He's just leant on and whipped around the corner. And 1 run is taken. 37 for 2. The equation is 158 runs from 88 balls. Philippi will be on strike. Was he around the scene at Perth when you were there?
He was a very young player. He didn't get much of a go, so I wasn't aware of him too much. But certainly in covering Big Bash, certainly from last year, he had a great tournament last year. He was probably one of the standout batters last year. Earned himself, I believe, a T20 cap for Australia.
Yeah.
Played a few games there, and really impressed.
He's on strike now, right-handed, whipping the ball down the ground for 1. It's collected by the mulleted figure of Zampa.
Yeah, he's sort of in that unorthodox sort of mould. Grips a bat with the fingers wrapped right around the bat, very Steve Smith-esque, as I alluded to. Moves around the crease similar to Steve Smith, and why not, emulate one of the best in the business. But yeah, very, very fine ball striker.
And you could probably say that Sydney Sixers need him to do something. With the loss of Vince and Edwards already, they need him to do something in this innings. Hughes is waiting, driving, in the air it goes, clears the infield. It's going to bring runs, a couple of them probably if they push hard, but no, just the 1. And so the equation moves on. 39 for 2. The key figure to keep an eye out for at the 10 over mark is 62 as a target for that bash boost point. As a player, do you sense you'd be interested in that?
Well, I think you have to have one eye on it. I mean, if the tournament could come down to sometimes a point here or there, and you look back and you think, if we were a little bit more aggressive here. And
Philippi, in the air it goes, down the ground. Has he got enough on it? Yep, 6. Out towards that Sydney Sixers dugout where someone in magenta picks up and throws back. Philippi with 6 runs to conclude the 6th over. Really good shot, 45 for 2.
Yeah, and a great finish to the end of Stan Lake's over there. He was just starting to build up a little bit of pressure on these Sixers batsmen, and Philippi probably recognising that now, saying, look, I've got to try and get on with it now, and going at just around run a ball, which is not ideal in this situation. I want that rate to suddenly start escalating up to 13 or 14 and over too much, make it life quite tough. But I think it boils down to a case now whether the Sixers have that depth that the Melbourne Stars do. You know, we saw someone like Poran coming in at that sort of number 6 role and actually doing some tremendous damage with Maxwell. I thought played a magnificent hand as well. Sixers, do they quite have that depth in batting? You know, time will tell.
Dan Christian could be the key figure for me.
Yeah, he's someone who can clear the ropes, yes, for sure. But in between that, they have very good players, yes, but do they have that those two dynamic players to come in and really finish the game?
Hughes on strike as Zaya Khan's into the attack, and the left-handed Hughes drives through the offside. Lovely shot. It's going to bring 4 because a really poor piece of fielding in the deep. Is that Pooran out there? It's 4 to start the over, and Zaya Khan just into the attack might say, well, you know what? I know you scored all those runs with a bat, Nicholas, but come on, these are my figures here.
Come on, play the game, Nicholas. Yeah, I'm not sure what really happened here. It was tripped over himself a little bit casual getting down to that ball, I would say, rather than the two-handed pickup.
Hughes on 28 from 17, driving, but without much timing, and Zaya Khan turns and collects, wearing, it has to be said,
not quite matching there, is he?
He's not really matching, no. He's in
wrong team.
He is a little bit. He should be playing for the other Melbourne team. He's wearing the green of the Stars. As the next ball is worked into the leg side for a single, so 50
Renegade
comes
boots.
up. Yeah, he's wearing some Renegade boots in every sense. They are bright red, and they do not go with the green of the Melbourne of the Melbourne Stars.
No, he's picked badly there, isn't he?
He's picked badly, or his boot sponsor has
got the wrong info.
He said, I'm off to play for Melbourne. And they said, don't you worry, old son.
We got you.
We got your back. And he's opened the box. He's thought,
oh no.
Guys, come on. Zaya Khan, diminutive figure, left arm spin, is seeing Philippe sweeping hard out into the leg side, and he's going to pick up 4. And Pooran again ends up in a heap. And Philippe starting to find a bit of a groove here. 140 needed from 80 balls.
Yeah, you got Pooran in the Perth Scorchers boots, in the orange boots out there, having a bit of a tough time in the... Oh no. Oh dear.
At first, it didn't look so bad. Second time, he's run past it.
He's always spinning, always swerving.
10.5 is the required rate. Philippe has 21 from 17 and is on strike. Zaya Khan is into him, deep in the crease, the batsman angling the ball towards Fletcher at mid-wicket. And there's one more to the total. 1 ball left of the 7th over, 55 for 2. Philippe 22, Hughes 29. And Zaya Khan with a little towel poking out of his waistband, sleeves rolled up, immaculately trimmed beard. And those bright red boots, moving in again, just pauses, decides he's not quite ready, and Hughes will have to get himself set once more. Target is 194. Zaya Khan moving in to bowl to Dan Hughes. He's chasing a wide delivery, which finds the hands of the fielders. The fielder, I should say, who is Liam Hatcher waiting at point. And the over finishes with a drop ball. So 7 gone, 55 for 2 is the score. Boxing Day afternoon here on 5 Live Sports Extra. And maybe just emerging from the ultimate slumber, that post-Christmas Day lunch snooze. Is one of the greats, isn't it?
Oh, it's the best, isn't it? It's what you look forward to all year.
Yeah. That nap you have after Christmas Day lunch on Christmas Day, and then the long sleep afterwards.
Exactly. Wake up, bit more food.
Yeah.
Back to sleep.
Yeah, back to sleep. Maybe a bit of sport on the telly in the background. Now you're talking. Yeah. And for those parents yesterday that perhaps kids were up very early, excitement over present. I know my brother sent a message saying his 2 daughters were up at 3:30 yesterday morning.
Oh,
I mean, that's night time,
illegal, isn't it? That's just illegal.
I mean, that's really, you're lucky if Santa's been by that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you might be just a little bit sleepy today. So what better way than a little bit of Big Bash cricket on the radio. And here we've got a good game as well. Adam Zampa into the attack. Bit of leg spin from the Australian international. Moving into bowl to Philippe, plays the reverse, in the air, catch taken. It's Fletcher that's moved to his left at what became square leg when he played that reverse hit, and immediately Zampa strikes to remove the dangerous Filipina. Good catch as well from Fletcher. 55 for 3.
Yeah, that's a bit of an odd dismissal there from Josh Philippe, with 2 men posted behind point for that shot. I'm not sure how much you planning to get from out of that ball. Surely that was a ball just to knock down the ground. Your first ball, having a look at Adam Zampa. I'm not sure about that option on reflection, but it's a bit of a shame, as he was just starting to pick up the pace. And another blow to Sydney Sixers. Target's looking further and further away, but they're not out of it yet, as we saw with the Stars innings. It only takes 1 knock. Jordan Silk is a capable player.
Yep.
He is more than capable. He's played some good knocks in Big Bash over his time. But it was an odd option, you could say, Henry.
Really odd option, and he's perished. You imagine that might be born of meetings ahead of this match. Well, Zampa, we think a good run scoring option could play the reverse sweep. Batsman thinks, do you know what, I'm going to try it first up, and then...
I think, again, it's old school meeting new school. If I was batting against a Zampa, just come on, I'd be looking full face of the bat, trying to utilise the gaps he's given me down the ground, and then, looking at the field. I mean, he's posted 2 guys behind point for a reason. He wants you to do that.
Silk then waiting for Zampa, who's in on the pads. 1 run taken into the leg side. And the score 56 for 3.
Sometimes take the options, the easy options that are given to you, until you get yourself in. I mean, if the run rate starts to climb, fair enough, you're looking to go up and over those guys, but to do it first ball, I mean, look, I don't want to come down on guys. Look, these guys are much better T20 batsmen than I was, but I just feel it's a bit of a soft giveaway in the circumstances.
Zampa shorter this time. Hughes hitting the ball into the leg side, and he'll get 1 run. He's played nicely so far, Dan Hughes. He's on to 30 from 21. I wonder how much the sort of perceived threat of Adam Zampa, international, takes a lot of wickets. Maybe that just muddles the mind a bit.
Yeah, but what you don't want to do is give him wickets. If he's able to pitch the ball leg stump and hit off, I mean, that's a totally different conversation.
Into the ground from Silk, mistiming a cut shot, and it's a dot ball.
Adam Zampa's not a massive spinner of the ball. He's a good leg spinner and nothing more than that, really. But what you don't want to be doing is giving him wickets. And as I said, with the field set, realistically, what was Josh Philippe expecting to gain off that delivery?
Zampa again, just outside that off stump, but Silk's cut shot is not a good one. And there's no run, so just the 2 runs from the over so far. A ball left of it, 1 wicket in there as well. 5 needed from 13 for the Bash boost point. We've also got Carlos Brathwaite into the conversation as well in terms of the Sixers firepower. We all know what he can do. 57 for 3 is the score. 1 ball left of the 8th over. The target is 194. As Zampa is in, short, should be punished. It's hit away hard into the leg side, not perfectly. And it's not the boundary it probably should have been. And Silk just gets the 1 run. So he'll keep the strike. 8 overs gone. 58 for 3.
Yeah, so I would say Zampa will be pretty chuffed with that, to come on and snare a wicket first ball, which is not ideal. I think it's put Sixers under a little bit of pressure, which I think now the expectation now will be on Hughes now to play the main role, play the main hand in this innings, to see it through, and other guys to bat around him. You mentioned the likes of Carlos Brathwaite. Jason Holder's no mean striker of a cricket ball either, so they've still got some firepower left in the sheds, but you feel now that there needs to be a kind of rebuilding kind of partnership, which I know Poran went crazy, but there needs to be some stability now from the Sixers, you feel, for them to have a real shot at bringing this target down.
Glenn